Welcome back to the Thunderdome here on the campus of Concordia University, Chicago, as we get set for Game 2 of today's doubleheader between your Concordia University Chicago Cougars and the visiting Green Knights of St. Norbert College. Peter Borkowski here, joined by Jonathan Shear once again on the Cougar Sports Network. Jonathan, Cougars, they started the day off with a 6-1 win over the Green Knights in 7 innings. Game 1 of conference doubleheaders are now 7 innings. This game, Game 2, will be a full 9-inning game. And Jonathan, just in terms of opening up conference play, in terms of opening up home play for CUC, today's their home opening doubleheader as well. You can't think of a much better way than a 6-1 win over a conference opponent, and a win where there weren't really a lot of places that you can kind of pin like a red flag on the Cougars. They just did everything really well in that game. Just an all-around good game from CUC.
No, that was really the definition of a complete victory for a team. On the mound, simply dominant, one hit allowed, that one run scored was really not even a bad inning. It was a bad batter. There was just a complete dominant performance on the mound, and then offensively, technically, St. Norbert's had no earned runs allowed, but the Cougars, tons of balls put in play, got the hits they needed to when they needed to. The clutch hitting with runners in scoring position was great for the Cougars. Really good at just shortening up, putting the ball in play when they needed to make things happen, and it worked incredibly well. It was a complete victory for CUC earlier today.
Well, we have an opposite end of the spectrum on the pitching mound for CUC. Game 1, senior Wyatt McLaughlin. He's been here a while. He was a main starter on the team last year, and he was absolutely dominant. This game, Coach Connor, Coach Matt Smith, the pitching coach for CUC, they're instead going with a freshman, number 55, Dylan Scott, out of Bartlett, Illinois. He is on the mound here for Game 2 as his first delivery to Devin Geary is popped up shallow. Couple Cougars make a run after, and Jake Mahler brings it in. 1 pitch, 1 out for Dylan Scott, who so far on the year, 4 games played, all of which were starts, 14 innings, 4.5 ERA, and a 1-2 record to boot for number 55 on the mound.
And again, can't have a more efficient start to a game than that. 1 pitch, 1 out.
Second pitch of the game from Scott is low and away. That'll be ball 1 to Jaden Holgado, who last game flew out, was hit by a pitch, and struck out, but probably more known for some mistakes over in left field defensively. He lost the ball up in the air. That was a double for Eli Hickman. Eventually, Hickman came around to score the first run of the day, and then an error also in left field got hung up on the fence, the foul line. It was something weird from Holgado, and that allowed 2 more Cougar runs to score. Those were the 5th and 6th runs, as now we get a stoppage here. The umpire writing something down in his notebook after pointing it at Holgado. So interested to see what exactly was the issue there, as meanwhile he takes a 2-1 count against Scott. Scott's 2-1 is inside, makes it 3-1. Scott also throwing the ball to a freshman backstop for CUC, Brandon Mahler. Last game's catcher is now DHing, and Ben Labuka behind the plate, freshman out of Park Ridge. As he catches a called strike there, makes it full count on Jaden Holgado.
Going from 1 pitch, 1 out to now you have that full count situation here for Dylan Scott.
And Holgado just stays alive, takes a swing at a low pitch, fouls it off, so 3-2 remains the count. So an all-freshman battery here for CUC. Scott to Labuka. This one rocketed down the right field line for a foul ball. So we stay at 3-2. Good battle here from Holgado. Next offering from Scott gets away, and it's called strike, so the ball is dropped. Labuka picks it up, throws it to Kasich, who makes the grab out number 2. Kind of a weird play. It was a late call, and the ball was already in the dirt, so Labuka just had to get up and play a little catch with Kasich. Either way, that is out number 2 as we get set for Trevor Reinhardt to step up to the plate. Reinhardt looks at a ball there in game 1. Reinhardt went 0 for 2 with a walk and a strikeout as he takes a big hack at that one. Misses it. 1-1 the count. Very similar lineup for St. Norbert in this second game, as this one high and away makes it 2-1. The only notable difference is Zach Bostran, the DH. We saw him pitch last game, and then you also have Huck Sprong behind the plate at catcher and Sam O'Leary in right field. Other than that, very similar lineup as this one. All the way back to the fence, making the grab is Eli Hickman. Hickman, such a solid defender, shows off why they're all the way to the warning track, and it's a 1-2-3 inning to start us here off in Game 2 from Dylan Scott. Cougars, they'll be up to bat for the first time when we hit the bottom of the first in just a second here on the Cougars Sports Network.
Batting third, the designated hitter.
Back here on the Cougar Sports Network after some technical difficulties. Apologize for any interruption to those watching at home. We have no outs here in the bottom of the first. Cougar runners on second and third. Brandon Mahler at the plate as he pops this one up. And it is caught for an out by the catcher, Huck Sprong. So Mahler takes a seat back in the dugout.
Batting fourth, the first baseman, number
So
10.
a recap of the first inning of what we missed. The leadoff hitter, Julio Cajigas, drew a walk. Tyler Dorsch then hit a double that advanced Cajigas all the way over to third. And then we just saw Brandon Mahler pop out to the catcher. As here's a ball hit, and it gets past the shortstop, Crumry. Cajigas comes home to score. Dorsch will stay at third. So the Cougars jump on the board early here in Game 2. A first inning run courtesy of Michael Kasich and a mistake from the shortstop, Crumry. And they're going to call that one an error. So Kasich gets himself to first. Cajigas comes across and scores. And the Cougars up 1-0 here in CUC.
And again, obviously not how you want to start off an inning right there, but that one, Crumry, he had Dorsch kind of right up in front of him, and he tried to sort of make that backhand stop, get the backhand go around. Just overshot it a bit, kind of was watching Dorsch off the backside as he was trying to field the ball, and he missed the placement of the glove.
Crater gets a piece of this one, and it fouls off his bat and then his left leg, it looks like. So the ball is dead as Crater now takes a second to walk around, shake it off. Should mention the arm on the mound for St. Norbert is the sophomore Jason Schroeder out of Niles, Illinois. One of those we talked about Game 1, rare non-Wisconsin products for this St. Norbert team. So far on the season, Schroeder has made 2 appearances, started 1 game, 4 1/3 of work, 12.46 ERA. So fair to say number 20 in green has been dusted up quite a bit as this ball to the right fielder. Dorsch tags up. He's going to go home. There will be a play at the plate, and the throw's not in time. Sacrifice fly for Tyler Crater. Tyler Dorsch comes home and scores. The Tylers get it done, and CUC now up 2-0 on St. Norbert.
And that was aggressive from Tyler Dorsch over at third base, but it was a perfect jump. That was a short sack fly. That was relatively short in right field, but he had the perfect jump, the perfect slide, and it really wasn't even that close at home plate. Really smart and aggressive choice from Tyler Dorsch right there.
And now at the plate, it's Jake Mahler. Mahler playing second once again. CUC, like St. Norbert, not too many changes to their lineup as The 1-0 to Mahler misses, makes it 2-0. So Tyler Crater officially credited with the sac fly. Grabs himself an RBI. Then Dorsch scores a run, which is unearned, as the next pitch to Mahler is called strike one. 2-1 now from Schroeder.
And this is an unideal first inning for Schroeder. Efficiency-wise, hasn't thrown as many pitches as you would expect for an inning that's gone through 6 batters, 2 runs, but
as Mahler pops this one, drifting into the St. Norbert dugout, but then drifting back in play. So the catch can be made by DeBruyne at third, and that'll do it for the first. But a good first inning of work from the CUC lineup. They put 2 runs up on the board. They take a 2-0 lead as we head to the top of the second. You're watching the Cougar Sports Network. Top of the second inning, Dylan Scott back on the mound for CUC as he goes to work against number 10, Matt Perry, as his first pitch of the inning is outside for ball number 1. Perry was in the outfield in game 1. He moves to second for this game as he looks at ball number 2. In that game 1, Perry 0 for 3. So not a very productive game 1 for Matt Perry. Looks to change that here in game 2 as he does exactly that. Punches it in the hole between Crater and Boswell. It gets all the way to the left fielder Cajigas, and Matt Perry finds himself on first. Leadoff single and first base runner of game 2 for St. Norbert.
that's a good sign for the Green Knights. They really struggled to get hits and get on base in their first matchup with the Cougars earlier today. And again, didn't get anyone on base in that first inning, but right there, leadoff man on, and it's a good hit, just a solid single, something they really didn't have happen in that first game. So already kind of trying to change up that script here in this second matchup.
Well, part of changing up that script is throwing Zach Bostrand in the DH spot. We saw Bostrand pitch last game, did 1 2/3, didn't give up any hits. But the Cougars did score a pair of runs while he was on the mound. Neither of which were earned. So now Bostrand moves from the mound to the plate. And so far, coming into this day, Bostrand's .217 hitter in 7 games played in the lineup, as this is a dribbler, and it's going to be stopped by Mahler and almost gets it to Scott in time. The throw's just out of reach of Scott. So getting all the way to third is going to be Matt Perry. Great stop by Jake Mahler. Had to come a long way over from his home at second. Unfortunately, the throw just a little out of reach of Dylan Scott. So it will just be ruled. It's a single from Bostrand. And we'll have to see what they'll rule for Perry to get over to third.
Third baseman number 15, Will DeBrune.
Advance to throw on the third is your final tally. So with runners in the corners and nobody out, Dylan Scott now has to go up to work against Will DeBrune, who we saw play third in game one like he is in this game, and he will get a hit as it goes under the glove of Crater. Coming home to score is Perry. Stopping at second is Bostrand, and St. Norbert. Very different story from game one, Jonathan. Took them a minute to really get that offense going against a dominant Wyatt McLaughlin. They get their first run of the day here in just the second inning.
Yeah, and that's just a huge difference is those stringing hits together. That now they have more than one hit, something that they couldn't say in that first game. But they also strung them together in one inning. 3 consecutive singles, cycle your men around the bases. They'll start coming in. You still have no outs and 2 men on here as well.
There's a strike thrown to Huck Sprong, the new catcher for St. Norbert, who we did not see in game one. On the season, 7 games played, 6 of which have been starts for Sprong, 267 hitter. 15 at-bats, 4 of which turned into hits. It's a double as well. 1 RBI as this is a floater grabbed by Crater, and all the runners have to stay put. So good job there by Tyler Crater. Grabs a little bloop off the bat of Sprong. Runners must stay in their spots, so now you're looking at man on first, second, 1 out, which of course brings the double play ball into question.
At the bottom of the order up here for St. Norbert's as well.
Carson Crumry takes a strike there in game one, the St. Norbert shortstop. At the plate, he went 0 for 2. Did draw a walk, however. Don't think the Green Knights would be too disappointed with another result like that. As he pops this one up, Cahigas calls for it and gets under it for the snag. Out number 2 now. So good work, Jonathan, by Dylan Scott. Gets in trouble. First 3 batters all get a hit. They score a run off of it. Now he's produced 2, relatively soft hitting balls, the floater to Crater, and then a fly out over to Cahigas. And now he just has to get 1 more out, and he limits the damage to just 1 run.
Yeah, and like you said, both of those were perfect outcomes, those in-play balls that no one can advance on. So you get the out with no extra damage done. There's no cost. So you're really able to limit the damage after an inning that started off with St. Norbert's just on a roll.
The 1-0 offering misses as well, makes it 2-0. Sam O'Leary at the plate. We saw O'Leary pinch hit to end last game, swinging strikeout against Dave Dimeling. Ended game 1, secured the 6-1 victory for CUC as he fouls this one off for his first strike. On the season as a whole, however, O'Leary coming into today was batting .200, 5 at-bats, just 1 hit. Obviously, he's had 6 at-bats now with just 1 hit. As the 2-1 is also fouled back, makes it 2-2 now. He's got 1 pitch away from getting out of a little bit of a jam here in the second inning. 3 straight batters got on base to start. Since then, he's produced 2 outs, 2-2 count now to O'Leary, and fires strike 3. Freezes O'Leary. He's fired up, and the Cougars, they strand a pair of runners, but St. Norbert does get on the board. They cut the lead in half. Cougars still up 2-1 as we head to the bottom of the second. You're watching the Cougar Sports Network. Deshaun Boswell
And leading off the bottom
will
second
get
for
us
Cougars,
started here in game number 2, the second inning
Boswell.
of game number 2. Cougars up 2-1 on the Green Knights. Green Knights got that one run back in the top of this inning. So Boswell and the rest of the Cougars try to get that lead back up against Jason Schroeder as he immediately swings. Nice snag there by the third baseman, and he gets it over in time. That was DeBrune over to Reinhardt. And Jonathan, I'm sensing a trend start to form here with Yashawn Boswell of being very aggressive on first pitches. Looking back at my scorebook, obviously that out on the first pitch. And in game number 1, he had 2 of his 3 outs were on the first pitch. So fair to say that the youngster is very aggressive out there for CUC, but it's been working out to his favor so far this year.
Yeah, that's
just not today.
Yeah, that's something, people have differing opinions on whenever you're talking about baseball. Are you going to be aggressive early on in the count, or are you going to hold back? And obviously there's some situational stuff there. One thing that I love to see out of a baseball player, though, is if they are aggressive, if they're confident enough, if they see a pitch early on, they're willing to just go for it. And that's something that Yashawn Boswell has shown. He is confident, and he will be aggressive right out of the gate in every single at-bat. And for me, that is a strength for a player to have.
Well, here's Ben LaBuca, a freshman for CUC. He grounds out to the third baseman as well, DeBrune. So the DeBrune-Reinhardt connection getting a lot of work in this inning. And with 2 outs, it'll be Eli Hickman who tries to keep the inning alive. Hickman had a great game 1, 2 for 2 with a pair of doubles. Also drew a walk, ended up scoring 3 total runs as one of the senior leaders on this Cougars team looks to continue his hot day. In game 2 against Schroeder, the 1-0 is jacked into center field, and making chases Geary. He's not going to get there in time. Eli Hickman. How about a third double on the day? He is finding himself a nice place at second base. Nice little home there.
Yeah, and, people will make jokes about it when talking about a player. They've got warning track power. A lot of the time, it's an insult. It's that player can't get a home run. But in Eli Hickman's case, you get a lot of doubles. And that is just as good in most cases. Get a man on second, especially early on in an inning. Not the case here, but 2 outs keeps the inning alive. And we've seen Hickman did this in that first game today. Just getting it out to the warning track. Sometimes anything can happen when you get it out there. Who knows? Cougars can do anything now. They got a man on second.
And they got a speedster on second in Hickman. Very good base runner, a very fast base runner, as Cajigas fouls this one off, makes it 0-2. So with Hickman at second, all you really have to do is, get a single, get something, get a safe hit, and unless it's a very shallow hit, maybe an infield single or something, Hickman should be able to score on it. That's just kind of the danger he possesses on the base paths. Meanwhile, Cajigas in danger of being struck out here. The 0-2 is lifted into center. Geary has to come in for it, and he does. Makes the grab. So, despite the Hickman double, the Cougars, the Green Knights, able to get out of the second inning unharmed, and they will head to the top of third, down by just 1. CUC on top, 2-1 here at the Thunderdome. Don't go anywhere. You're watching the Cougars Sports Network. Top of the third, about to get underway here at the campus of Concordia, Concordia University of Chicago, as the Green Knights are back to the top of their lineup. Devin Geary, he made that grab to end last inning, and he will take ball one from Dylan Scott back on the mound. Gave up his first run of the day last inning as he looks to get back in shape here. Throws a second ball, so that makes it 2-0 now.
Dylan Scott did a really good job of getting out of a bit of a jam in that last inning, only giving up one run. But a bit wild to start off this inning. 3 balls in a row to kick it off.
Yeah, 3-0 count to Devin Geary. As the next offering is a low and in. So a 4-pitch walk, not what you want to see out of your freshman. But the good news for CUC is they still have a relatively full bullpen to use. They only used 3 batters in that first game. Wyatt McLaughlin went 5, Bryce Jones, David Dimeling went 1 at each. So even if Scott gets in a little bit of trouble, obviously you might have a bit of a shorter leash on a freshman as you would to, say, McLaughlin, a senior. So if Scott does get in trouble as he attempts a pickoff there, you still have plenty of pitchers to use, and that's one of the advantages of a 7-inning game one is that you don't have to burn as many arms. So if your game 2 pitcher gets in trouble, you don't feel as bad being able to run through your bullpen.
And the Cougars coaching staff has also shown a willingness to let pitchers work themselves out of jams. They did it with Wyatt McLaughlin in game 1, who obviously more of a veteran player, has probably a bit of longer leash, like you mentioned, Peter. But, they showed that a bit with Dylan in that first inning. They have that confidence. And obviously you're not going to pull your pitcher in the second inning just because of a 2-man-on jam. But Dylan showed that he can do that, and that probably is contributing to a likely mentality with this coaching staff that we're going to let them work themselves out of jams to an extent.
Well, he's got a man on with nobody out. Geary on first. Jaden Holgado at the plate. He struck out looking for the second out of the first inning. As you can see, Dylan Scott very, very conscious of Devin Geary over at first. On the year, Geary does have 8 stolen bags on 9 attempts, so for good reason. We didn't really see Wyatt McLaughlin in game 1 focus too much on the runners, at least not as much as we've seen Scott as he tries another pickoff attempt. They're really wanting to make sure that Geary stays right where he is at first base, at least until that ball is put in play.
Part of that might be we never really saw Devin Geary get on base in that first game. That's just because of the struggles of that St. Norbert's offense. So now that we have an offense from the Green Knights that's starting to cook a little bit, we're going to start to see how they work when they have that momentum.
Here's a drive into center field. Hickman gets under it, snags the ball, and that'll be the first out as Geary has to retreat to first base. So a fly out to center for Jaden Holgado, who continues to have a hitless day.
But if you look back to that first inning, kind of shows you Holgado's play type. He was that player who got hit by a pitch and then worked himself around the bases to get home. He's scrappy. He'll fight out walks. He'll take those hit by pitches. He'll work his way around the bases. He's aggressive when he does get there. The problem today with Holgado has been getting on base, however. He only got on base once, and he created a run out of it all by himself. But that's the main problem, is that struggle to get on base. That was a struggle for the entirety of St. Norbert's in that first game. Less of a struggle in this game so far.
Yeah, if you look at the first game box score, in terms of hits, they just had 1 by Kisting, the catcher. In terms of walk, they just had 2. Reinhardt and Crumry both had 1. And then in terms of hit by pitches, here's a bunt fouled back. In terms of hit by pitches, Holgado and DeBrune both were hit by 1. And then, of course, you had a pair of errors from CUC, so just not a ton of base running, as Jonathan mentioned, especially compared to this game where you had 3 singles last inning and then you have a walk in this inning. But meanwhile, Dylan Scott works it to a 1-2 count against Reinhardt. Reinhardt flew out to center to end the first inning in his first plate appearance. See what he can do here. Down 1-2 in the count. Runner at first. As Dylan Scott is going to check Geary again. He wants Geary having no thoughts about taking off for second. As the 1-2, Geary does go. This ball is going to go foul. So Geary will be forced to retreat to first, but we finally see Devin Geary use some of that speed. Unfortunately, the foul ball negates anything he did as we get set for another 1-2 pitch.
Yeah, that stolen base. Maybe a bit of a hit and run in the books there for St. Norbert's with one out, but, you know, you just reset here. Still got that man at first, and still a decent count here for Trevor Reinhardt to work with, now sitting at a 2-2 count.
Even count on Reinhardt, first baseman for the Green Knights, as he will take, he was hit by a pitch, they're going to say. Dylan Scott not happy with that call.
And it looked like it just kind of, I mean, you want to go protective material, it looked like it clipped off the edge of the elbow guard that extends a bit from the elbow. So, you know, Dylan Scott gets a bit wild, clips the equipment, and that's a tough one to take, especially with St. Norbert's. We've seen they can take advantage when their players get hit by a pitch. Now you got two men on, one out. Less than ideal after a small mistake from Scott.
Runners first, second, just one out, as Jonathan mentioned, as Scott misses on his first pitch to Matt Perry. Perry singled to lead off last inning, eventually came home to score the lone St. Norbert run so far. But now he's got a chance to make some noise himself with a runner in scoring position in the quick Geary. As they're going to try and get Geary here, the ball bounces off of Mahler. Luckily stays in front of him. As CUC has not had a good track record with pickoff attempts to second so far today. Wyatt McLaughlin threw one into center. And then on that one, gets away from Mahler. Again, luckily it stayed in front of him rather than behind. As this pitch, low in the 5-hole for Labuka, able to snag it, but 2-0 count now on Perry. Dylan Scott also feels like a much more methodical worker than Wyatt McLaughlin as he issues this pitch, lone away, ball 3-0 now.
And now you're in that very much less than ideal situation on the mound. Very much a hitter's count here. Two men on, only one out. You're in a bit of a tough spot right here.
3-0. Low and away, 4-pitch walk to Matt Perry, and that is going to load the bases. Reinhardt at second, Geary at third, as pitching coach for the Cougars, Matt Smith, is going to work his way out to the mound to talk to his freshman hurler. The rest of the infield come in as well to chat with their pitcher.
Bases loaded, one out. And while they're out there looking at these Green Knights uniforms, funny thing with St. Norbert's, during my first couple months working in with the athletic communications here at CUC, I knew St. Norbert's existed. I saw some games with them. Never worked a game with them, so I had no reason to know their mascot. I genuinely thought they were the St. Norbert's Pelicans for a few months, and I have a reason for this because
I'm interested to hear.
Their mascot, it's white, and then it has like that yellow feathery thing on the head, and just glancing at a blurry picture of it looks like a beak to me. So I thought these guys were the Pelicans for a while, and then basketball game I hear them called the Green Knights, and I was like, oh, that actually makes a lot more sense for a school from Wisconsin. But
as this ball is drilled into right and making a catch, Tyler Dorsch, what a snag. That's going to hold the base runners. What a grab. Looked like a snow cone at the edge of Tyler Dorsch's glove. And he's able to turn around, get the ball back in quick enough to hold the runners. What a play from Tyler Dorsch defensively to keep us at a 2-1 ball game. That ball had disaster written all over it. As the next offering from Scott is outside.
And just as important as getting the out right there was getting it in as quick as he did. Most of the times, any fly ball, line drive of that distance, runner on third is going to be able to tag up and score.
The back pick attempt is called safe. The Cougars thought they caught Matt Perry sleeping, and instead he's called safe. Great throw by Labuka, maybe a little high, but I think the Cougars had a legit argument there, Jonathan, to make that out number 3.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one. You have a two umpire crew right here. The umpire making that call because of where your runners are all the way on the other end of the infield. So that's a really tough angle for any umpire to make that call over at first place, dust getting kicked up and everything.
3-1 count now on the Bruin. No room for error from Scott. If he walks him, it drives in the tying run. If he gives up a hit, it's probably going to give St. Norbert a lead. The 3-1 is fouled down the left field line. So DeBrune now with a full count. Scott. This is as good as it gets. 2 outs, 3-2 count, bases loaded. A ball or a hit, St. Norbert scores. An out, Cougars are out of danger. Scott deals. Misses low for ball 4.
And that's a tough one. St. Norbert's, they were going for the hit and run. They had all of their players going. Doesn't matter. You get the tough walk. That's a tough at-bat to take for Dylan. Scott fought your way back to a full count, but and now you just have to focus on limiting the damage and getting out of this, keeping out a tied game.
So an RBI walk for DeBrune as Scott now deals a strike to Huck Sprong. Scoring the run was Geary, the leadoff hitter of the inning, who spent a good amount of time on the base paths. The 0-1, and it clips him. It got a piece of him, kind of like we saw Reinhardt was just clipped in his hit by pitch. And so another St. Norbert run scores. This time it is Reinhardt crossing home. And they now take the lead 3-2 here over CUC.
And that one, that didn't really look like he missed his mark. It looked like it slipped off of Scott's hand weird. It was going to be an off speed. It was a very slow pitch. And Sprong was able to sit there, process what was happening, and just get ready for the pitch to hit him because it just came off the hand wrong and was going straight for Sprong the whole time. The mistake that you really, really, really cannot have in that situation for Scott.
That ball's going to miss for ball 1, 1-1 the count. Next offering swung on and missed. So 1-2 now on Carson Crumry. Three to 2 here, St. Norbert, top of the third. As the 1-2 offering from Scott fouled off. Crumry stays alive for just at least one more pitch. Next offering is hit up the middle. Boswell comes in, flips it to Mahler at second. 4 out number 3, but St. Norbert, they put up a pair of runs, and because of it, they are going to take a 3-2 lead into the bottom of the third. Cougars, they got some work to do as they trail the St. Norbert Pelicans 3-2 here at the Thunderdome. We'll be back in just a second on the Cougar Sports Network.
The number 2 batter leads off the bottom of the third for the Cougars.
Bottom of the third, and it'll be the right fielder, Tyler Dorsch, who made that outstanding grab last inning to prevent any St. Norbert runs from scoring, but the Green Knights eventually found their way to home plate, scored a pair of runs. They take a 3-2 lead as we are in the bottom of the third now. The next offering to Dorsch. That's in there for a strike. 1-1 count. Jason Schroeder still dealing out there for the Green Knights. Just faced 4 batters last inning. The only blip was a Eli Hickman double as Tyler Dorsch gets a single here right up the gut.
And that's Tyler Dorsch's first hit of the day, which is really fun to say because it's not that he has not been productive at the plate today. He has been getting walk after walk after walk. 3 walks in that first game win for the Cougars. But right there, textbook single, line drive, right up the middle, set you up with a man on base, no outs.
And that's right, he puts a man on base for Brandon Mahler, who had 2 RBIs in that first game, and because of a deep drive to left, which was eventually ruled an error, but because of that, which he put in play, the Cougars scored another 2 runs off the error. So didn't count for official RBIs for Mahler, but still he was the direct reason that the Cougars got another pair of runs across. Not that they needed any more runs the way the pitching staff was hurling in game 1. As it's an 0-1 count on the Cougars' sophomore catcher. As Dorsch takes off, and that's going to be a hit into left field, and Dorsch gets tripped up. So Dorsch has to come back to second as he will now be granted third because he was interfered with by Matt Perry.
And Matt Perry just got caught ball watching right there. He's turned around, looking at the outfield, getting ready for the play to happen. No idea that Tyler Dorsch is hustling around second and going after, and Dorsch just fully clears the calves of Matt Perry.
Yeah, Dorsch took off before the hit. He was going for the steal, as now head coach of the Green Knights, Mike Wallerick, comes out to argue his case with the umps and maybe probably trying to say that, Dorsch ran into him. But at that point, Dorsch has so much momentum because he's already taken off from the steal. He's rounding second full speed.
And the important thing to remember with that is you'll always hear coaches play the baseline card. They were out of the baseline. But the important rule to remember is the runner creates the baseline. Mm-hmm. And in this case, because of Dorsch's momentum rounding second, going for third, that was the baseline that he chose.
Right.
So it's really, really, really hard to argue for that other argument.
Right, unless it's something super egregious, which in that case it was not. It was just Dorsch's momentum carrying around the base paths. Usually you got to give the base path argument to the runner. As St. Norbert's still arguing their case here.
And at this point, it's just a really, really hard call to overturn and send the other way. Actually, that does bring into mind Matt Perry is the second baseman. So I wasn't watching exactly how he ended up over on the left side of the infield that play where Dorsch ran into him. But that's just something I just realized right there, as Matt Perry was probably a bit out of position there as well.
So the St. Norbert coach finally retreats.
The batter is the first
Again,
baseman,
is
number 10, Michael Kasich.
Case not heard successfully as Dorsch still stands at third, but you got to stand up for your players as a coach. As it'll now be Michael Kasich, and he gets hit in the numbers, square in the back. As Kasich will now take his place at first, and it is bases loaded, nobody out for the Cougars. And Tyler Crater up to bat here, as he has a chance to make some serious noise just as the Cougars lost the lead. Nobody out. Bases loaded. First pitch is lifted into center. Coming in and making the grab is Geary. Dorsch is going to go home, and he is going to be safe. No play at the plate. And CUC ties it up 3-3 thanks to the Tyler Crater sac fly to center field.
And again, second time we've seen Tyler Dorsch score on a sac fly today and ties it up with the Cougars. You can't really ask for anything more than that. You could, but you can't complain about that. No outs, bases loaded. You'll take that sacrifice every day of the week. A run's a run.
Jake Mahler at the plate now, flew out in his first at bat in the first inning as he looks at a strike here. 2 sac fly RBIs for Tyler Crater. Scored Tyler Dorsch on both of them as the 2 junior Tylers getting the job done. As the 0-1 is inside. 1-1 the count now to Jake Mahler. As St. Norbert does have an arm warming up in the bullpen.
And both teams' pitchers starting to go up in the pitch count here in the third inning.
As Mahler hits this one, Perry to second to first for the double play. Perry to Crumry to Reinhardt. And the 4-6-3 double play ends the inning. But the Cougars, they get one off the Tyler Crater sac fly, and we are tied up at 3 runs apiece as we head to the top of the 4th. Cougars and Green Knights, brand new ball game. As we are done a third through the way of the game. We'll have more action for you in just a minute on the Cougars Sports Network. Fourth inning here in River Forest. We have a brand new ball game between the Cougars and the Green Knights, and the sun is starting to break through a little bit. It's pretty chilly by the time Game 2 was starting. Felt like it actually got colder from the start of the day, but now the sun's deciding to show its face a little as Dylan Scott, his first offering of the inning, is a caught strike to Sam O'Leary. O'Leary struck out looking to end the second inning as he puts this one in play, takes a hop off the mound. Jake Mahler can't backhand it as it's going to trickle all the way into center field. So O'Leary on first.
That's just an unfortunate ground ball for the Cougars. 2 opportunities to grab it, but it's in an awkward position for both Scott having to react quickly and then Mahler having to go for a backhand sprinting in the opposite direction.
And they officially scored it as an error on Mahler as this ball is drilled deep into left field. This one's got a shot. It's gone. First home run of the day, and it belongs to Devin Geary and the Green Knights. And right as they relinquish the lead, they take it right back up 5-3 now. 2-run jack from Geary.
Devin Geary, not exactly a power hitter, but this is a St. Norbert's team that doesn't have a lot of power hitters in general. Devin Geary, one of their most powerful hitters. 2 home runs on the year coming into today. Now up to 3, and that one, not really much of a doubt about it, punishing the Cougars for an error.
Sent that one onto Division Street as this bunt is popped up. They let it fall. Ibuka scoops it up the throw to first. Gets past Kasich as the ball gets all the way into right field. So interested to see how they'll score this bunt from Holgado. It looked like, obviously I'm not on the field. I don't know exactly, the spacing, but it looked like between Labuka and Scott, one of them could have made an effort on the pop-up because it was popped up into the air before touching the ground, yet they just let it touch the ground before they decided to make a play on it.
Yeah, they might be a bit rattled coming off of giving up a home run. It's a freshman battery. You just give up a big tank of a home run, and the next pitch you got to communicate on a bit of a tough pop-up play. So right now the Cougars really got to work to try and rebound. You're on a bit of a backslide here. You got to stop it.
Trevor Reinhardt at the plate as Dylan Scott taking care of Jaden Holgado. Mentioned Geary's base running prowess, but Jaden Holgado, 7 for 7 on stolen base attempts so far this year. He is right up there with Geary in terms of base swiping threats as Scott fires a ball to Reinhardt.
You do have an arm up in the bullpen for the Cougars. Dylan Scott up to 65 pitches thrown. There's number 66.
One and one count after that strike. As Scott fires the first, not in time. Again, Cougars just so conscious of what Geary and Holgado can do at the top of the lineup. Taking extra care to hold them where they are. As this ball is swung in and just felled off by Reinhardt. Got a piece of it.
And one thing to keep in mind with those recent rule changes made within the NAC in regards to doubleheaders, the Cougars are kind of lucky here. The game that you're starting to fall behind that St. Norbert's is scoring runs in is the 9-inning game. So the Cougars have 2 more innings than they would have had in that first game to try and come back here. And that's just something that is going to you kind of keep in mind. That's new for this year within the NAC.
And now they call, I believe it was a balk on Dylan Scott. As the base runner advances to second, my attention was elsewhere for a split second, but I believe that was the call, as the Cougars are going to make a call to the bullpen. As it looks like, my eyes aren't deceiving me, it'll be Tyler Pritchard coming to the mound for CUC, a sophomore. So Cougars making a pitching change after Scott works himself into trouble. He's given up 5 so far. And he leaves a runner on under his watch as well. So, Jonathan, I do want to revisit the St. Norbert Pelicans story. Because where I thought you were going, because obviously St. Norbert is right next to Green Bay. It's in the Green Bay area. And if you look at their jerseys, I don't think any fan of the NFL misses the connection to Green Bay with the green and yellow jerseys.
Yeah.
And if you've ever been to Green Bay, which I haven't been there a lot, I've made one trip there, that place is Packer crazy, which as a Bears fan hurt my soul to be there, but still. So that was always my interesting thing about the St. Norbert jerseys was just they are in Green Bay and they're also Packer colored. I never thought of the St. Norbert Pelicans, though. That one never crossed my mind. That's a pretty unique connection there, I will say that.
And I think it was because I never really focused on the logo, and I have one pulled up right here. You have like the white pelican, the white knight. Pelicans are white, and then you have the yellow feather. Pelicans have yellow beaks. So it could theoretically be a pelican at a glance, and then
theoretically, sure.
And then it's adorned with the fleur-de-lis of, if that's how you pronounce it, which is very Louisiana, New Orleans, very coastal, very pelican-y. That's a bit more of a stretch. I'm trying to grasp at like making it make sense here, but from a distance, it could look like a pelican. It's very much a green knight. Now looking at it, that's not a pelican, but
I say our next move is we call up St. Norbert admins and we make our case for a logo switch, because I'm a bit, I think, as every sports fan, a big fan of random logos, and having the Pelicans located in Green Bay, Wisconsin, notable home for Pelicans, may I add. I think that would just be fantastic. It's like I mentioned, Tyler Dorsch played for the Illinois Valley Pistol Shrimp. Didn't think the middle of Illinois was a hotbed for shrimp, but I guess I am corrected. Anyways, back on the field, enough about logos, for now at least. Tyler Pritchard on the mound for CUC, his second year with the squad, and so far this year has been a bit of a rough go. 2 1/3 innings pitched for Pritchard, 11.57 ERA for the sophomore. But he gets the ball here as CUC trying to limit the damage, and he does just that. Strike 3 on the swing from Reinhardt, and because of it, that'll make it 1 out. Runner still at second, however, with Holgado.
And yeah, it's all about damage limitation here for Pritchard. You got a fresh arm out of the pen, which is helpful.
As this ball, another deep drive into left, and another ball out of the field. 2-run homer, second of the inning, as this time it is Matt Perry who is sprinting around the base pass. He was in a hurry there. Thought his sliding mitt was going to fall out. It doesn't, and what was a 3-3 game a matter of 10, 15 minutes ago now reads 7-3 in favor of the Green Knights.
And something to note, now you have Tyler Pritchard in the game. This is the first arm for either team we've seen today that is a lefty. Haven't been many left-handed pitchers for either team so far. And that was a lefty on righty matchup for Matt Perry right there. Took advantage of it and just barreled it up, kind of.
1-2 count on Zach Bostrand. He has a single and a line out so far in this game, as he looks to continue to add to the run-centric inning, as this ball is sent into the Cougar bullpen.
And they're just making very good contact right now, St. Norbert's. That contact right there from Bostrand, obviously not going to go anywhere. It's foul ball, but it was a solid foul ball. That was a ways into the outfield.
As here's another ball hit deep into right. Dorsch backs up and then comes in at the very end to make the grab. So another well-hit ball. This one, however, results in a flyout to Tyler Dorsch. Second straight flyout to right for Bostrand. And with 2 outs, it'll bring up DeBrune, who is having himself a nice game too. An RBI single and an RBI walk in his 2 bait appearances, as this pops up and is going to land back in the field of play. Everyone in the stands taking cover because it's like a weird bounce off the brick wall here, as the next pitch misses. 1-1 on DeBrune. Two and one on DeBrune now, as Pritchard, a very quick worker out there for CUC. Gets the ball, gets the sign, and delivers, as he gets a swing and a miss there. 2-2, evens up the count. CUC desperately trying to end a 4-run inning from the Green Knights. It won't end there. That ball in the dirt. Full count now, 3-2. In the dirt again, and that'll walk DeBrune, his second straight walk. And the inning over, not quite yet, as it will now be Huck Sprong up to the plate.
And obviously for the Cougars, you have suffered some damage this inning. You've given up 4 runs. You don't want to let any more damage happening. But after both home runs, you've now had a batter get on base, and then here another hit.
And we get a hit deep into left, and it's going to go all the way back into the foul corner. And coming all the way home to score is DeBrune. RBI double for Huck Sprong. It took a bad bounce on Julio Cajigas and rolled all the way into the corner of the foul area. And if you're familiar with the dimensions here at the Thunderdome, you know how far back that foul area goes, that ball can just keep rolling and rolling. There's a throwing pit over there too, and the Cougars fall victim to it as they now trail 8-3. The umpire's having a discussion maybe about how far back they should have allowed that ball to roll. You can see Coach Connor has made his way out of the dugout, approaching the first baseline. And I don't think they're going to decide anything. So the RBI double stands for Sprung. And that makes it 8-3 now. Thanks to DeBruyne coming all the way home from first base on that hit.
Shortstop number 13, Carson Crumry.
Carson Crumry at the plate, 0 for 2 in the second game. A fly out and a ground out as the first pitch from Pritchard is high and away.
Okay, so the first run of the inning was unearned because he reached out an error. The next 3 were all earned, and then that last one because
This one too low, calls it ball 2.
Crumry, the 9th batter of this inning for St. Norbert's, as the bleeding has just continued for the Cougars.
Yeah, the man on deck, Sam O'Leary, started this inning off by reaching on an error from Mahler as Pritchard fires a strike in. The 2-1 in the dirt. Labuka bounces up to grab it. So that makes it 3-1. Cougars have another arm throwing in the bullpen, as Tyler Pritchard has not looked too on the ball here so far in his relief outing, and that continues here. A walk to Carson Crumry, and because of it, we have officially made our way through the entire lineup as it brings up Sam O'Leary, who led off this inning in what feels like quite a bit ago.
number 7, Sam O'Leary.
And if you just look at the atmosphere, the St. Norbert's dugout is just so much more lively now after this big inning than they were for pretty much the entire day up until this point. The entire momentum is going their way. They're feeling it. They're having fun. The sun's coming out, and now they're just vibing, playing some winning baseball.
O'Leary showed a bunt, and he pulls back in time to draw a ball. 1-1 the count. 1-1, 2 outs. Runners at first and second. At first is Crumry. At second is Sprung. As the next offering is popped up, shallow left. Crater and Cahigas, who eventually make the grab, come in for it. That is out number 3, but the damage has been done. 10 batters bat in this inning for St. Norbert. They put up 5 runs, highlighted by 2-run homers from Devin Geary and Matt Perry. So we head into the bottom of the 4th. Cougars, they've got some work to do as they trail St. Norbert 8-3. You're watching the Cougar Sports Network. All right, Lindley. Back here on the Cougar Sports Network. Cougars, they trail by 5, 8-3 here in the bottom of the 4th inning, as the first batter of the inning takes a strike from Jason Schroeder, still on the mound. That batter is Yashawn Boswell. Next pitch slowly finds its way home for strike 2.
That's 2 straight off-speed pitches curving into the zone from Schroeder. That's something that we haven't really seen him use too much out of his arsenal today, but it's working on Boswell.
The 0-2 misses high and away, makes it 1-2. But Boswell taking this very patient approach in this at-bat, which we've not, as you said, Jonathan, seen a lot from him today. As he swings at that one, gets a piece of it, but they're going to say it was a drop third strike. And then he was tagged out, so swinging strikeout for Yashawn Boswell, and it'll be Ben Labuka up to bat. Grounded out to third in his first appearance. So far in the year, he's still looking for his first hit at the college level. This is just his second game played. He's 0 for 4 as he takes a big hack at that one. Misses it, however, for strike number 1.
And, I mean, you talk about atmosphere changes. There really is an atmosphere change, just now that the sun is more coming out a bit from the south.
Labuka gets a good piece of this one, but it's just a pop-up to shallow right. Looked good coming off the bat, but really did not turn it all much. But, yeah, we've had a couple of interesting atmospheres here. Obviously, the beginning of Game 1, there's excitement because it's the opening day here at CUC, home opener for CUC. You know, they've spent every, besides the North Park game this past Wednesday, which was local, I mean, all 3 of their other stretches of play, they were in St. Louis for a weekend, they were in Florida for a week, then they were in Kentucky for a weekend. So it felt really good to come home here, so obviously excitement around that. Then, there's a lot of, towards the end of that first game, Cougars were getting hyped because things were going their way. Then the beginning of this game, maybe a little slower just because it was kind of pretty cold, as this is a well-hit ball into deep center, but it shouldn't cause any trouble for Geary, who makes the grab on Eli Hickman. And a quick 1-2-3 inning here for Jason Schroeder and his Green Knights. Boswell, Labuka, and Hickman go down in order as we head to the 5th inning. It'll be Geary, Holgado, and Reinhardt, the top of the order for the Green Knights, when we're back in just a second on the Cougar Sports Network.
No, 12.
Richie Gomez on the mound for CUC as he gets the ball on Gomez, a freshman from Chicago, local product for CUC. His first pitch out and away for ball number 1 on the year. Gomez has been one of the better Cougar pitchers, the third lowest ERA on the team coming into today, 4.35 and 10 1/3 of work as he fires a strike there, makes it 1-1 on the leadoff hitter of the inning and of the day for the Green Knights. That is Devin Geary, and Geary takes a swing at that one, makes it 1-2. We've seen two very different games from Devin Geary, Jonathan. Game 1, very quiet, 0 for 3. Struck out, didn't do really anything so far in this game. A flyout, a walk that turned into a run, and then a 2-run homer last inning that gave the Green Knights their lead back, and then eventually they turned that into an 8-3 lead. So Geary kind of shows his ability just to rebound after a poor performance in Game 1.
Yeah, and a lot of this team is dialed in more as the games got on. But like you mentioned, especially Devin Geary, this is playing like the Devin Geary you would expect to see, the player who is anchored at the top of the lineup for St. Norbert's.
Full count on Geary now. As Gomez delivers, this ball is a dribbler. Boswell comes in, makes the grab, throws it to Furs just in time. Good reach there by Kasich. And the Cougars retire Geary for the first out of the 5th.
Left fielder number 21, Jaden Holgado.
You got Jaden Holgado. With the way that last inning went, he got moved up to second on a balk and was driven in with a home run. Didn't really have much of a need to do any fancy base running, but he's sort of that elite base running threat, him and Devin Geary. But Holgado, a lot of his game is centered around that base running.
Even though, it wasn't a steal that got him the second, the balk was largely because of just the threat of him stealing. And at the time, it was Dylan Scott who was so worried about picking him off and just checking him at first. Probably is what resulted in that balk. As it is now 1-2 count on Holgado. Strikeout and a flyout, and then last inning's hit as Gomez thought he got him there. No love from the home plate umpire.
And Holgado swung and missed on a pitch in that exact spot, the pitch before that.
And this gets right by Tyler Crater inside the third baseline as Holgado using that speed to get to second. His helmet flew off. And so a double for Holgado, and the Green Knights are in business here in the 5th inning. So up to the plate now is Trevor Reinhardt. Reinhardt fly out, hit by a pitch, a strikeout. He's also scored a run as he takes a big hack at that one, misses it for strike number 1.
And this inning, you have an out early, which is good for the Cougars. You want to be wary of allowing a repeat of last inning to happen now that you have a man on at second.
The 0-1 turns into a 1-1. And you got Matt Perry on deck, who hit that the second 2-run homer of last inning. So you got to be cautious here as the next offering is low and away, makes it 2-1. Gomez facing off against Trevor Reinhardt, first baseman for St. Norbert, as he makes contact with this one. Boswell scoops it up, throws it over to first in time. It does advance the runner to third, but the Cougars get an out of it. And because of it, it'll bring up Matt Perry, 2 outs, runner 90 feet from the plate. Chance to add on to St. Norbert's 5-run lead. Or for the Cougars to shut him down with a runner in scoring position.
It's been a big day for Perry so far, mainly in this game. It's been a big game for Matt Perry. Had 2 for 2, walk, those 2 hits, a single and a home run. Really, his only little bit of a slip-up was that awkward sort of interference where he ended up on the left side of the infield. But at the plate, he has been absolutely dialed in right now.
Second strike thrown to Perry, so 0-2 count.
He's less aggressive at this at-bat than he's been so far today, just letting those 2 pitches go.
1-2 count now as Gomez trying to get out of this inning, leaving a runner stranded at third. The 1-2. This one jacked into left field. Cajigas has to go back, makes a leaping grab. Julio Cajigas turned himself around, jumped up and snagged the ball out of the air, and because of it, Cougars hold the Green Knights off the board here in the top of the 5th. We head to the bottom half of the inning now. Cougars still trail the Green Knights, however, 8-3. You're watching the Cougar Sports Network. Top of the order for CUC, and it starts with Julio Cajigas as he takes a swing at this one. Might have gotten a piece of it. Either way, it ends up as strike one. And Jonathan, it's it is the 5th inning. There's still plenty of baseball to play, but when you're down by 5 runs, this is where you kind of want to see the offense start to cook things up a little bit, so you don't have to get a bunch of runs at one point as Cajigas runs that one out. And the infield single gets the Cougars off on the right foot. But again, now's the part if you want to start chipping away at this lead rather than having to get 5 runs in 1 or 2 innings. Just get a run an inning, and that has to start here this inning for CUC's offense.
Yeah, it takes off a lot of pressure if you can start scoring, because as you go further on without scoring, there's more pressure to make big hits, make big plays, put up chunks of runs at a time. If you get it done now, it's going to make it a lot more of a relaxed push back towards getting back into this game. And this is the top spot to do it. Top of the order, fresh start. This is when you've just got to calm down, make the plays you need to, and just dial in at the plate.
1-0 count as Jason Schroeder throws over to first to check Cajigas. And we haven't talked about Schroeder a whole lot today, Jonathan, but he's quietly been a good, consistent pitcher. Obviously, he's given up 3 runs, one of which was unearned, but still, he's not flashy. He's not striking out batters left, right, and center. As Dorsch pops this one up, and coming in and making the grab is Geary for out number 1. But he's just doing things like that. He's getting outs, he's limiting base runners and runs, and he's just turning in a pretty good performance here for the Green Knights.
And yeah, that's huge for Jason Schroeder coming into today. 2 appearances, 0-1, 1 loss, no wins. 12.46 ERA, by far the lowest ERA on this Green Knights lineup, and he's kind of gone completely in another direction. That only giving up 3 runs, preventing the Cougars from getting big rallies. It's been a solid performance from Schroeder out on the mound so far.
Brandon Mahler, as this ball is going to get past Sprong, so taken off to second is Julio Cajigas. It will be a passed ball on Sprong, and the Cougars now working with a runner in scoring position for one of their best batters in Mahler. He does have a single in this game. It's also flown out to the catcher. The first pitch is jacked into left field. This one has got a chance. It could go. It does. See ya later, Brandon Mahler. Break out the tape measure. Cougars strike here And they are back in this one. 8-5 is your score after the Brandon Mahler 2-run homer.
And to whoever parked that Ford F-150 out in the street back in left field, hopefully you got a tough rear bumper right there, but that's what you kind of want. 2-run shot, start inching closer. Now it's only a 3-run gap, and you got plenty of innings to do it.
Right, obviously you'd like to get more runs in this inning, especially with just one out. But even if you don't, like we said at the top of the inning, Jonathan, at the top of this inning, I should say, on this bottom half of the inning, you've done your job. You got 2 runs back. It's now a 3-run deficit instead of a 5-run deficit. Even if you don't score again this inning, at least you're kind of back in the game theoretically, even though you weren't really out of the game. So just already taking their job, already taking care of it as this ball gets away from Sprong to Michael Kosick. 1-0 count on the CUC junior. As for Brandon Mahler, that is home run number 2 on the season. As Kosick pops this one up, Perry drifts back from second and makes the grab.
But if anything, what's huge with that home run is the momentum shift, that sort of change in atmosphere, because everything was going the direction of the Green Knights. They had a huge inning. They held the Cougars scoreless. But now you have a shot of your own over the fence, and there's that big momentum shift. Now that momentum is starting to come back in your favor. The Green Knights, they've got to try and bounce back from that 2-run homer. So the momentum shift is just as big as the runs themselves.
Pitch high and inside for a ball. 1-0 count on Tyler Crater as he gets a piece of that one. Makes it 1-1.
Honestly, something that's been very big with Jason Schroeder today is his efficiency. He's just about to throw his 60th pitch of the game in the 5th inning, which, with the way we've seen pitchers going through pitches today, that's really, really good for Jason Schroeder, especially with the rate we've seen the Cougars go through pitchers in this game.
Yeah, and obviously the goal of every lineup, unless, the other team has an absolutely dominant bullpen, is just to get to the bullpen, get past the starter, especially when you have a starter who, until this inning, Jason Schroeder is performing really well, and now he's giving up another hit. Tyler Crater pokes that one down the third baseline as he slides feet first into second base. 2-out double for Tyler Crater, and the Cougars got another runner in scoring position.
And you saw that sort of bumpy outfield of this Cougars home field come into play right there, hit a weird spot, and then it went from a pretty much flat grounder, and it just started hopping up and down, and Holgado had to change his trajectory from left field and run in a bit, made it a much more comfortable path into second base for Tyler Crater. So those weird bounces when balls have been transitioning from the infield to the outfield, those have come into play a lot because we've seen a lot of those grounders along the foul line today.
Yeah, Cougars play on a natural grass here at the Thunderdome, and it is a beautiful stadium. I mean, especially when you compare it to some of the other college parks you see, not only around the conference, but just in the area. The Thunderdome, officially named Cougar Field, I believe it is, is just usually on top of those other ballparks due just to the brick that's here, the brick wall in front of us. And then we had a new addition to the field this year. You could see the Cougars halo around the batter's circle, as it is generously donated by a passionate Cougars fan just to continue to spruce up this field. I believe there is some signage coming for the outfield wall at some point this year, hopefully. So the Thunderdome continues to be one of the best places to play just college baseball, not even D3, just college baseball in the area, as after a brief mound visit for Jason Schroeder, it is Jake Mahler at the plate. 1-0 count, as a good hit here can make this a 2-run game. Tyler Crater on second. Next offering from Schroeder is in the dirt, makes it 2-0. St. Norbert does have an arm throwing, and he's been throwing for a bit, so you have to imagine that this is definitely Schroeder's last inning of work. It's now a matter of does he get through the inning? Because one good hit here by Mahler could chase him as Mahler looks at ball 3. Maybe not even a hit, maybe just a walk, because right now it is 3-0 in favor of Jake Mahler.
Yeah, looking out to the bullpen, it looks like it would be number 5, Luke Steebs, out in the bullpen warming up for the Green Knights right now.
The 3-0. Inside, ball 4. So 4-pitch walk for Jake Mahler. Now, of course, eyes turn towards the St. Norbert coach. And they are going to leave Schroeder in for now.
And
now he's
there
coming
it
out.
is.
And there is the official mark. So right as I say it, they decide to make the decision to pull Schroeder. Kind of an interesting position because, yes, there are 2 runners on. You've given up 2 runs this inning, but you're only 1 out away. So, of course, St. Norbert, they know how potent this CUC offense is. They are not going to take any kind of opportunity, any kind of chances here with this potent CUC offense. So we got a new St. Norbert arm coming in. We'll have more info about him in just a second when we're back on the Cougar Sports Network. Don't go anywhere. Cougar's still up the bat. So after a brief period of warm up, it'll be Luke Steebs on the mound now for St. Norbert. Steebs, a junior out of Ellison Bay, Wisconsin. Another Wisconsin product for this St. Norbert team. And so far on the year, Steebs, 6 appearances, 1 game started, in fact. 2-0 with a 3.71 ERA. So kind of interesting here, Jonathan. I mean, he's pitched 17 innings in his 6 appearances. So this is a guy who can definitely go in terms of just his pitch count. He can eat up a couple of innings as Deshaun Boswell pops this one up. Perry tracking it and makes the grab. So I have to see just how long Steve stays around because he's definitely got some longevity in him. But meanwhile, we head to the top of the 6th now. Cougars, they get 2 runs back off the Brandon Mahler 2-run homer. And we'll see what they can do defensively when we're back here on the Cougar Sports Network in just a second.
Designated hitter number
Anthony
16,
Polano
Jack
checks
Bookstrand.
into the game for CUC, and before we even get to him, shouldn't mention that at the beginning of the doubleheader, it was his sister Finley Polano who gave us a really great version of the national anthem singing. So the Polano family has already done good work today. Let's see what Anthony can do on the mound now, as he's been doing good work all season long for the Cougars in his 8 1/3 innings of work. 2.16 ERA. That's across 6 appearances. Has given up 2 earned runs and has just been really good in his 3rd season in the maroon and gold. But he does have a 3-0 count to work against now versus Zach Bostrand. 3-0 misses, so ball 4 as Bostrand takes his base. So not what you want to see out of Polano. Comes in and delivers a 4-pitch walk, as it'll now be Will DeBrune up to the plate. DeBrune so far today in the second game, pair of RBIs, a single, 2 walks, and a run scored. So number 15 in green and gold has done really good work. As Polano kicks and delivers and issues ball 1, ball number 5. 5 straight for Polano, as he still is yet to find the strike zone in his outing. The 1-0. This one is hit, and it's going to find its way into right center field. Coming in is Dorr. She makes the grab, fires it to the cutoff man in Yashawn Boswell. And now the first 2 batters both reach for the Green Knights. Bostrand on the walk, and now DeBrune on a single, as that'll bring up Huck Sprung, who has himself a RBI double in his last plate appearance. Also was hit by a pitch and lined out, as he can do some damage with a runner at second in Bostrand.
And yeah, this is again worst case scenario for starting off, coming out of the bullpen, 2 men on, no outs. Struggling to find the strike zone so far is Polano.
This one gets fouled off to the back of the netting.
It's almost like the movement on that one right there. Sprong was expecting it to just go over. I'm not sure why he didn't move the bat, but he never really had the. He was hoping to get position for a bunt, but he never really had it at the position to successfully lay down the bunt. He just kind of sat with the bat there and let the ball come to it.
The 0-1 takes that outside, makes it 1-1. As Polano gets set, 1-1, nobody out. Runners on first and second for Anthony Polano, who's been excellent so far this year for CUC, but is struggling in appearance at number 7 on the season, which is the appearance we're watching right now. 2-1 on Huck Sprong. Sprong shows bunt, and he lays it down. Crater comes in and can't scoop it up. Barehanded it and then ran into Crater. And so a perfect bunt there by Huck Sprong. And we'll have to see exactly how they rule that. But either way, we have bases loaded with nobody out. Polano in a tough situation here with Carson Crumry at the plate.
And again, this is that strikeout or short pop-up situation here going up against Crumry. And Crumry yet to get a hit today. Does have a walk, though.
As Jonathan said, Polano needs something that does not advance the base runners. A strikeout or a shallow pop fly or even a grounder the Cougars can fire back to home would be a good result as well. I'm going to see a force out at every plate now, every base. Next offering gets away from Labuca, and that is going to score a run. Labuca doesn't even try to get it back to Polano. And so the Green Knights add on run number 9, take a 9-5 lead as the Cougars continue to struggle here defensively against St. Norbert. So now it's runners at second and third. And there's a strike, 2-2 on Crumry.
And now it's about cleaning up the rest of this inning, preventing any more damage, trying to pull back some of that momentum because, you know, starting out, 3 men on, no outs, pass ball error, giving up a run, that momentum's going to start falling right back into the St. Norbert's dugout.
Offering in the dirt from Polano. So it was officially ruled a passed ball in Labuca that allowed Bostrand to score an unearned run. But again, St. Norbert still with 2 runners in scoring positions. Polano does have a base to give. First base is empty, so a walk wouldn't be the end of the world here. Of course, you're looking at bases loaded, no outs again. As he delivers the 3-2, and this is fouled off. So we stay at 3-2. Here in the top of the 6th inning. Polano set and deals. Popped up. Believe it's drifting back foul. And it is. And it hits in front of all the fans on the walkway to access the seats. So heads up if you're watching at the Thunderdome today.
Polano's gotten slowly more consistent with finding the zone so far.
As we see the batter Crumry having a chat with his coach, maybe about the approach here, the third base coach for St. Norbert, as he's got a chance to really blow this game open, 9-5. 4-run lead for St. Norbert as Polano set and delivers, and this one is lifted into center and making the he drops it. Hickman had it. It dribbles out of his glove. Almost a highlight reel play from Hickman. Just cannot tighten the glove around the ball. Because of it, it will be an RBI single for Crumry. And St. Norbert takes a 10-5 lead now.
And that's a tough one. That sat in the glove of Hickman for a good second before slowly rolling out. And like you mentioned, just couldn't keep that glove tight enough after hitting the ground.
I do think if it's any, consolement to Hickman, even if he did hold on to that ball, the runner still likely would have scored because Hickman was sprawled out. He was diving forward. I doubt, obviously Eli Hickman is an incredible defender, but the ability to dive for a ball, get up, and immediately fire it at home in time to get a runner tagging up from third, it would have been tough. So I don't know if even if he had caught that, if it would have prevented the run from scoring. Obviously, that's just a hypothetical. Ball fell out, and we are looking at a 10-5 lead here for St. Norbert. Still no outs in this inning, and they've already put a pair up on the board. It's currently 1-1 on Sam O'Leary. Strikeout, reach on an error, and a flyout today in the second game. Polano kicks and delivers a bunt, and it goes foul, so the 1-1 becomes 1-2.
The job of Anthony Polano right here is to limit the damage. You can't get those 2 runs you've given up back, but now men on first and second, no outs. You got to start finding ways to get those outs. Keep it at that 5-run gap it was in the top of the 5th. That's still a reachable gap, especially with the style of baseball that the Cougars play.
Fouled off by O'Leary, so he stays alive by the tip of his bat. Polano tried desperately to get an out here as St. Norbert's offense has looked sharp in this inning. Polano checks the runner at second before delivering, and it's in there, strike 3. Polano rings up O'Leary, and that'll be the first out of the inning. And now, Jonathan, things do look better. You still have 2 runners on, one of which is in scoring position, but now you think, hey, one good pitch here, double play, and we're out of it. It was all about getting that very first out for Polano. He's able to do it there.
Exactly. Confidence is such a huge thing when you're out on the mound, and now you kind of just feel that Anthony Polano, he's a bit more comfortable with where he's at on the mound. He's reset. He's starting to dial in a bit more on making smart pitches, making the pitches he needs to, not overdoing it, not trying to make up for the runs that he's given up, just getting the job done and getting out of the inning.
The 0-1 bounces away from Labuka. And they're going to say it, in fact, hit the batter. They're going to say it hit Geary. It looked like it bounced in front of Labuka, but it must have clipped Geary's foot or gear or something, because he takes his place at first. And so we are once again bags loaded, this time with 1 out. And Jaden Holgado, who has had 2 straight hits in his last 2 appearances, is at the plate.
And you've avoided the batting threat of Devin Geary, but it doesn't get much easier from there.
As Holgado pops it up, Cougars make chase. Hickman makes the grab, but drops the ball as he throws to the cutoff man. So, seeing the runner is safe. The batter, Holgado, is safe. And now Coach Connor comes out.
And, yeah, the argument is going to be that Hickman didn't drop the catch. He dropped the ball on the transfer.
Right.
Which, if that is the case, then the batter is out.
Mm-hmm.
But if the initial ruling from the umpire is that the batter is safe, you don't have review, so that's likely not going to be overturned. And that's what they're discussing right now, whether or not it was dropped on the transfer. It looked like it was dropped on the transfer. Hickman had dropped his glove, and it was moving it towards his left hand.
Yeah, he had it in his glove for a solid, second. It wasn't like the first time we saw Hickman, quote-unquote, drop a ball, which is when he dove for it and just could not secure it. I mean, that was a tough play to make. It's not like he just blundered it. That one, it definitely looked like he had control over it. So I'm interested to see what the umps rule as they call Coach Connor back out to their little 2-man conference.
But, yeah, if it is ruled an out for Holgado, which it's not looking likely right now.
Reading Coach Connor's body language.
He's frustrated with something, which means you have bases loaded, 1 out, just gave up a run. And that's a really tough one for the Cougars right there. I mean, again, it's that D3 college. You don't have that option of review. But that's a tough break for the Cougars right there. The outfield's not too happy about it. And they're now arguing. And there you go. Holgado's out, actually. And I'm not sure if they're saying he was out on the play, but I think they might. Either he's out on the play or the Cougars did get the ball back in. I think they may have tagged Holgado when he was off the bag.
I don't think they tagged, because I was watching that, because he stepped off the bag and the Cougars threw it to Kasich, and then he stepped right back on the bag. So I don't think they got him on the tag. I think they're going to say that Hickman grabbed the ball and dropped it after he secured the out.
Huh. Well, umpires do change the ruling.
Batter's first baseman number 11,
So
Trevor Reinhardt.
that brings up Trevor Reinhardt on 1 count. You don't see that a lot of umpires changing their ruling, especially in a big play like that, as that ball misses 1-1. So they're going to say Holgado flied out to center for the sac fly. It scored sprung, which makes it 11-5 as Polano misses the zone on that pitch. 2-1 now.
This is a much better situation for Polano. Men on second and third, 2 outs, rather than bases loaded, 1 out. So Cougars do get a break there.
This ball is popped up. Mahler calling for it, gets under it, and secures the catch for out number 3. But St. Norbert, they strike once again. They add 3 runs and are now up 11-5 as we head into the bottom of the 6th. Just when the Cougars were starting to pull back in this one, St. Norbert able to pull away, and they take the 6-run lead in the bottom half of the inning. We'll have that for you coming up shortly on the Cougars Sports Network. Steeb's still on the mound for St. Norbert as he turns his attention now to Ben Labuca. We do have our final stat line, of course, for Jason Schroeder. 4 2/3 pitched, let up 7 hits, 5 runs, 4 of which were earned, pair of walks, and a strikeout across 66 total pitches. Steves continues his work after throwing a 3rd last inning. He now evens up the count 1-1 against Labuca. On 1 misses away, makes it 2-1 now.
Cougars trailing by 6. Starting off with the bottom of the order, you got 8-9-1 coming up for the Cougars. So you're coming up towards that big part of the order that you really need to get some stuff done here.
As Labuca pops this one up, and it is reeled in by Geary for the first out of the bottom of the 6th.
Center fielder number 19, Eli Hickman.
So it'll bring up Hickman, who's having himself quite a day. 3 doubles across the 2 games we've played. And as he takes ball 1 from Steebs. Again, I talked about Steebs has started a game this year, so he has starter ability when it comes to stamina and longevity on the mound. It's just a matter of how long his coaches want to keep him out there. As the 1-1, Hickman flies this one into center. Geary tracking it down, makes the grab for out number 2.
There's another well-hit ball from Hickman. It results in an out, but he has been hitting the ball very, very well today. Almost every single at-bat's resulted in a ball, in either a hit or a ball that's made it well into the outfield, even if it is caught for an out. So a solid day from the 9-hole for Eli Hickman.
Cajigas pops this one up, goes back foul. That's 1 strike for Cajigas. As the 0-1 just misses, makes it 1-1. Sprung trying to get away with the frame job on that one. Gets no love from the home plate umpire. As the 1-1 gets it there. A nice piece of framing from Sprung makes it 1-2.
And yeah, those 2 pitches right there were pretty much in identical spots, very, very similar spots. Sprong doing some good work behind the plate so far today for the Green Knights. Unable to frame that one. That one dropped a bit too low, but
2-2 count on Cahigas. The next offering from Steves is low and away in the dirt. Sprong able to get over in front of it. Not that it matters with no one on the base paths. And just 2 outs. 3-2 count on Cahigas. Steve's going to try and end the inning here as the pitch is low for ball 4. So Cahigas draws his second walk of the game, and that'll bring up Tyler Dorsch. Dorsch a pair of hits and a fly out so far in this game.
you know, we talk about Huck Sprong's frame jobs. I respect the effort right there on that 4th pitch. Ball was in the dirt. He brought that one back up, put it in the zone, went for the frame. Couldn't get the umpire to bite on it, but I respect the effort.
Dorsch watches this one miss inside. Tried to curve it back in. Steves did. It's not enough on it. Dorsch trying to just chip away at this lead, a runner on first. As the next pitch misses high. Good eye there by Dorsch.
Dorsch had himself a solid day so far. A hat trick of walks in the first game of the doubleheader, and so far today, a double, a single, and then a fly out. Decent day for the right fielder.
As now the infield come in to just check on Steves. Quick discussion between him and the coach, as now the infield starts to break up. Maybe just a moment to collect himself, as he's issued 2 balls to Dorsch and, of course, walked Julio Cahigas. Just needs 1 out to get out of this inning. He's got a nice, comfy 6-run cushion. I think the point of that was just remind him that just take your time, calm down a little bit as this next offering finds its way home for a strike. Dorsch swings through that one. Would have made a pretty piece of hitting if he can make contact, but I'm able to catch up with what Steves was dishing out, and because of it, it is now 2-2 count for Tyler Dorsch. He's trying to make something happen with Cahigas at first. He watches that one. Cahigas takes off, and he's in there safely. The ball out of reach of Matt Perry, as it's a 3-2 count on Dorsch and a stolen base for Julio Cahigas. Great piece of running there by Cahigas. Puts himself in scoring position. So Dorsch, instead of maybe needing an extra base hit to score Cahigas, all he needs to do is put this one in play, reach safely, and Cahigas should be able to round the base pass. And Dorsch swings and misses on that one. Swinging strikeout for Steves. And he's able to negate the runner in scoring position for the Cougars, which means we are going to head now to the top of the 7th, 2/3 of the way through this game, too. And the Cougars, they trail St. Norbert 11-5. We'll have more for you in just a minute on the Cougars Sports Network. Top of the sixth, and it'll be Matt Perry for the Green Knights, as he's got himself a 2-run home run in this game, as well as a single, another run scored, as he fouls off the first pitch from the new Cougars pitcher. It is at number 56, the freshman out of Windsor, Colorado, Dylan Ferraro, as this is a dribbler. Ferraro can't scoop it up. Kasich does, fires it to Ferraro, and it all works out in the end as the Cougars able to get the first out.
That was just really, really good sort of on-the-fly communication from Ferraro and Kasich right there. Kasich had the backup the whole way, but Ferraro had the recognized immediately as soon as he missed that ball just to go straight to first. Kasich's got the ball, and they managed to secure the out after what looked like it could end up being a botched play.
So Ferraro now faces Zach Bostran, who's taking a second to adjust his gloves. On the season, Ferraro, 5.40 ERA in 10 appearances, 10 innings of work, so averaging exactly an inning per appearance, as the Cougars are bringing him in just to hold this lead where it is and give their offense some kind of opportunity to get a comeback on the books, as this is a good hit by Bostran. Dorsch can't get to it in time, plays it off the bounce, and it'll be a single for Bostran.
Third baseman number 15, Will DeBrune.
And brings up the third baseman, Will DeBrune. DeBrune is having an excellent game, too. A pair of singles, a pair of RBIs, and a pair of walks. So not getting a ton in the slugging category, but in terms of the on-base / contact, he's having himself a really, really fantastic game, too, as he puts this one in the air, and that'll be another hit, another single for Will DeBrune. He just comes in, fires it back into the infield. So back-to-back singles for the Green Knights. And that'll bring up number 8, Huck Sprong. He's got a pair of hits, a double and a single. Run scored and an RBI to his name in this second game.
Those are just some decently placed hits from St. Norbert's right now. I mean, the line drive from Bostrand was a very good, well-hit ball, but you know, they're in the right, exactly where they need to be. They're not right at the Cougars' defensive players. They're hitting the grass.
Is this one a big pop fly, and Eli Hickman gets under it for the grab. So a relatively simple fly out there for Eli Hickman, and that'll bring us to 2 outs. Runner still at first and second for Carson Crumry, who got his first hit of the day in his last at-bat, an RBI single. That was just last inning, too.
And this is something that the Cougars could really use right now, is an efficient inning. They've really had some painful innings so far today that just drag on, keep on bleeding. If they can get through this inning quickly, even if they, with allowing 2 base runners, if they can get through this inning quickly, that would be huge for CUC.
This pitch finds its way to the strike zone, 1-1 on Carson Crumry. As Ferraro gets set and delivers, swing and a miss on that one, and 2 the count.
And it looked like Ferraro went to the changeup right there, slowed it up. Really good change and speed variation right there. Got Crumry caught off guard with it.
And the 1-2 from Ferraro underway outside for ball 2.
Ferraro's had very, very good control of his off-speed so far this inning. When it comes to the fastballs, it's a bit more loose there, a bit more, it could be way off the plate. It could gun it right on the edge, but his off-speed has been very, very good so far since he's come into this game.
Yeah. Gets a foul ball out of Crumry there, as it still remains 2-2. Trying to get himself out of this inning. Ferraro deals high and in for ball 3. This is a full count now for the freshman Ferraro.
It's a good job from Crumry to work back into a full count, just sitting there, letting Ferraro work just off the edges.
Ferraro delivers runners on the move. Crater gloves it, goes across the diamond to Kasich in time. Michael Kasich makes the grab. Nice play by Crater as well, and that'll do it for the 7th. Ferraro shuts it down the St. Norbert offense, but the Green Knights still on top of the Cougars 11-5 as we head to the bottom half of the 7th. Time for a stretch, and when we come back, the Cougars, they will resume play and try to get this lead back to manageable. Again, they trail Green Knights by 6 as we head to the bottom of the 7th.
Bottom of the 7th for the Cougars.
It's the number 3 batter, Brandon Mahler, to start us off here. And Mahler has been having himself an incredible doubleheader. As I say that, though, he pops this one up towards the Cougars dugout, and unable to reel it in is the first baseman, Reinhardt. Maybe the Cougars dugout had a little trickery to do with that one, let's say, as he was right in front of hostile territory. And we know how passionate the CUC ball players are.
I can tell you there are 2 players on the field, you could say 3, who want that play back. Luke Steeves brought in what looked to be a slider, kind of left it hanging. Brandon Mahler would love to have that pitch back. That's a pitch that if he makes good contact with, he can drive. And then obviously Trevor Reinhardt, that's usually a very easy routine foul pop fly, and dropping it right out of the glove. Solid round of mistakes there.
And hit right up the gut for Brandon Mahler, so he'll reach base safely. Obviously, you love Mahler hitting when players are on base, but you'll take him in the leadoff spot as well because he can do just that, get on base. And so the Cougars' leadoff man is on as it's Michael Kasich up to the plate now.
And that's Mahler's thing. He'll hit for power, but he can just hit in general, still batting over 400 on the year. And if you can get even close to 400, that's amazing. If you can consistently bat over 400, that's elite. And that's an asset that the Cougars are utilizing very, very well in the 3-hole in the lineup.
Kasich looks at a ball. As Cougars, they just have 3 innings to score runs here before we reach the end of the scheduled innings of play. So they have some work to do. They're down by 6, so you figure they average 2 runs an inning. Wouldn't be a bad idea, as Kasich does take a strike there. But we know with how explosive this offense can be, they might be able to just blow the doors, blow the gates open at any point and pour it on. As Kasich, 1-1 count. Steeves delivers. Kasich lifts this one into deep left center. This one's got a chance too. It's gone. That makes it across the Division Street, as whoever is the owner of that house will find themselves with a new souvenir in their collection. Michael Kasich sends it way out of here, and the Cougars grab another pair of runs. They trail by just 4 now, 11-7.
Yep, and Luke Steeves, he left the slider hanging once again, and that time Kasich kind of went a bit with a sort of a golf swing, got down there and just lifted it for a no-doubter. Steeves would love to have that one back, but, he's still got some cushion. But in terms of momentum shifts, that is huge for CUC. Michael Kasich, his first hit of the game, and it's a big one.
Kasich had 2 home runs this past a weekend ago in Kentucky, and he will add another one to his total here, so he currently sits with 3 as well as 15 RBIs if my napkin math is correct, as Tyler Crater lifts this one up and everybody has to run to it, and Geary cannot make the grab. Put the ball in no man's land, and Tyler Crater ends up on second base. Great piece of hitting there from Crater. The old hit it where they ain't. You had 3 Green Knights booking at full speed, and none of them could get there in time.
It was because they all kind of miscommunicated right at the start. As soon as that ball was off the bat, your left fielder, Jaden Hongado, immediately jumped going further out. Devin Geary didn't really jump moving in. Carson Crumry kind of jumped, but he just kind of turned around and was watching it, and they all realized at the same time, oh, shoot, I have to get to that ball, and they just sprinted. And like you said, hit it where they ain't. It was right in the middle of that triangle of fielders just to perfectly hit the ground.
So the Cougars have a chance to make some more noise here in the inning. Jake Mahler at the plate as he knocks this one foul towards the St. Norbert dugout. So that will even us up at 1-1.
But in terms of momentum, this is huge for CUC. You're flowing, you're rolling, you got a man on, you got the homer, you get a nice little break right there with that pop fly double. I mean, the momentum is shifting to the first base dugout right now, and that's what CUC needs right now. 3 innings to get back up to 11 runs, and momentum would be huge for the Cougars.
Well, like I said, I mean, they were down by 6 entering this inning. You think they get 2 runs an inning for the final 3 frames of the game, and they've already done that job in this inning, but obviously with 0 outs, a runner in scoring position, you just want to keep piling it on, make it easier as Jake Mahler reaches for that one, can't make contact. He'll go down swinging, as that'll now bring up Yashawn Boswell to try and make some noise.
And Steves brought out the slider there on Mahler and did not leave it hanging that time. Some great horizontal run, and Mahler, he was in that defensive mindset right there, swinging anything close, and Steves just ran it so far out that Mahler couldn't connect with it. Really good pitch from Steves.
Meanwhile, ball 1 issued to Boswell, 0 for 3. A ground out, strikeout, and fly out for Boswell. 1 of each. So now it's time to add a hit to that resume as Steves delivers. Boswell looks at it as it curves its way in for the strike. 1-1. One delivery to Boswell. Misses. That was a close pitch. Home plate umpire tightens the zone a little bit, and because of it, it is now 2-1 count for Steves. Another arm is throwing for SNC as Steves starting to run into trouble. Boswell looks at that one. 2-2 the count.
And Boswell he's been a lot more patient in his last pair of in his last 2 or 3 at-bats than he was in that first game in his first at-bat today. He's not jumping on early pitches. He's letting at-bats progress, kind of sitting there waiting for a good opportunity.
The 2-2. Misses. 3-2. Good eye there from the freshman Boswell. Sean Boswell, a junior, a transfer for CUC. Misspoke there. Out of Linwood, Illinois, as this one popped up, and Perry makes the grab. A little bloop. And Perry tracks it down, no problem. So there's an out for the first-year Cougar in Yashawn Boswell.
I mean, you said you'd love to have a hit to that resume, and it's not exactly a cycle you want, but Yashawn Boswell getting close to his sort of out cycle, pop out, ground out, fly out, strike out. Not exactly the stat line you want to have throughout a game.
Throughout a doubleheader, really, as this pitch misses to Ben Labuka in that first in the first game, the one the Cougars won, Boswell went 0 for 3 as well. So just having a rough day in general. He's playing good defense, I will say that. He's really shoring up that shortstop position for CUC. But now he just needs to find his offensive touch as this ball also misses 2-0 to Labuka, who's still looking for his first collegiate hit. The offering finds its way in there for a strike. Labuka, you can tell, did not have the green light with the 2-0 count. Now instead he'll see what Steeves dials up 2-1. As Labuka pops it up and losing it in the sun was O'Leary. You can tell he was struggling with it. And great heads-up running from Tyler Crater. He just keeps on trucking, 2 outs. He knows there's no risk of a pickoff, so he scores. Cougars, they get another run back, and that lead has suddenly shrunk down to 3, 11-8 here in the 7th inning.
And it's not a prototypical hit. You won't see that often, but it's a first career hit for Ben Labuka into right field and a first career RBI coming with it. And you got it down to a 3-run game, and that momentum keeps swinging your way. This is an inning that the Cougars like to see in the 7th, just shortening that gap slowly, working through your lineup well.
As this ball gets behind Hickman, doesn't hit him, but Labuka able to get to second on it.
Yeah, that one's instinctive. Hickman already in closer to the plate, going in for the bunt, and then that was going for the back of the Cavs, just jumping out of the way at that one. You don't see that often. Steeves usually has more control on his pitches from what we've seen today than that, but he hasn't gone up against many lefties either, and that's the thing. There's not too many lefties in each team's batting order so far today, and this is really the one of the few lefties in this batting order that Steeves goes up against. So those breaking balls coming towards Steeves' left side, those are going to be going at a batter now, not just into some open space.
So a wild pitch from Steeves allows Labuka to get to second, and we have a 3-0 count on Hickman now, who has just been about as dangerous as they come in this doubleheader. Almost wears one there as well. Instead, he draws ball 4. And because of it, Cougars have 2 runners on, first and second, 2 outs, as we are to the number 1 hitter, Julio Cajigas. Pair of walks and a single so far in this game is also flown out, as now we get a pitching change, excuse me. So St. Norbert has seen what they wanted to out of Steeves. His day is over, still has 2 runners on under his name. And we'll have more information about the man coming in for St. Norbert when we're back on the Cougar Sports Network in just a second. New hurler on the mound for St. Norbert, and it is number 50, the sophomore Cole Bizdaka out of Green Bay, Wisconsin. So a very, very local product for the Green Bay-based St. Norbert Green Knights. And so far on the year, Bizdaka has exclusively been a starter. 4 appearances, all of which were starts. 1-2, 7.63 ERA, and 15 1/3 of work as he gets brought in to stop a Cougars offense, which is making a storming comeback here. They've trailed by as much as 6, and now they've brought it all the way down to 3 with Julio Cajigas up to bat. 2 runners on, first and second. This ball misses, so it is 2-0 now on Cajigas.
You know, the Cougars getting close to cycling through the order. This is the 7th batter. This is the 8th batter of the inning for CUC. They've found their momentum, and they're rolling with it. That's really what you need in a game where you need to make a big comeback late.
Next offering misses as well. A pretty close miss, but a miss nonetheless. So 3-0 for Bizdaka now on Julio Cajigas. And now he drops the ball, and that's going to be a balk. So the base runners advance. Labuka over to third. And Hickman over to second.
You know, the jitters when you come into a game mid-inning, they take shape in many forms. And in Bizdaka, it's taking place in some balls, and then the hands either they're not grippy enough or a bit too slippery. Either way, he just kind of cleaned off his hands right there.
And he fires ball 4 low. So that'll load the bags. Still 2 outs, but now you have Tyler Dorish, who has single, a double, then a flat and a strikeout, but we know what Dorish is capable of.
Yeah, this is not the part of the order you want to come up to with the bases loaded. Tyler Dorsch, absolute threat at the plate for this Cougars team. One of those hitters you can make an argument along with Brandon Mahler as being one of the better hitters, best hitters on this team. And those are the next 2 guys up for this Cougars team.
Right. I think if you're Bizdaka and the Green Knights, you're trying to take care of Dorsch now. Obviously, you want to get that 3rd out, but the thought of Brandon Mahler on deck is probably very, very scary. So it's best just to wrap things up now. Wow, Dorsch is probably just looking for a piece of something to keep the train moving and bring Mahler up. He lets this one go by for ball 1, 1-1 the count. But I also feel like you hear the term, he's due in baseball a lot. And obviously, Dorsch, he has his hits today. He's got a single and a double. He had 3 walks in the first game, but you feel like he's due for something bigger because Dorsch always does something great for the Cougars as he watches this one go by for a ball.
And his last 2 at-bats have been a fly out, and a strikeout swinging. So Dorsch, he's definitely looking to get something done here. Hasn't had that impact from the plate in a hot minute.
He's got family in attendance as well, all the way from Arizona. So trying to make it in the spotlight. The 2-1, Dorsch watches for strike 2. So 2-2 count now.
They're going to see him getting a bit more of a defensive stance here, trying to stay alive. Obviously, you want a big hit, but a single here is going to score some runs and keep the inning alive.
And he'll bring Brandon Mahler up to the plate, but he's got to stay alive here. The 2-2, he lifts this one. It's going to be a tough play, and making the grab is O'Leary.
That was just a bit too much on it. Almost that perfectly placed ball, but just carried enough for O'Leary to get in on it.
So that'll end the Cougar rally in the inning. They get 3 runs back, so they trail by just 3 now, 11-8, as we head to the top of the 8th. We'll have to see what the Cougars decide to do on the mound, as I believe we will have a new pitcher come in for CUC, so more on that in just a second. CUC, they trail St. Norbert 11-8 as we get ready to enter the 8th inning. Pinch hitter here to lead off for the Green Knights. It is number 33, Matt Schuck, as he looks from a strike from the new Cougars pitcher, who we've actually already seen today in Bryce Jones, making his return to the mound. He pitched in Game 1 and was very efficient as he gets Schuck to pop up. Labuka gets under it, trails back, and it drops. No one grabs it. So Matt Schuck, an infield pop fly, turns into a single, and the Cougars let the leadoff man escape. So it will be a single for Schuck. And now a bunt laid down by Geary, and it drifts foul. So Cougars end up with a strike on Geary. Not exactly the start you're looking for, Jonathan, out of bringing Bryce Jones, who we talked about in Game 1, is so dominant this year. You bring him back in the game, and it's a rough start to his outing with a, just a blunder of an infield single.
And at some point, with your three infielders on the back of Labutka, at some point it's on one of them to call off Labutka to make the play.
And Labutka, nice play there. The ball was fouled off the Geary foul ball.
What?
No,
And
I'm
either
interested.
somehow Geary is still batting and Matt Schuck has advanced to second base.
Because I thought the original call was that he popped it up off his bat and that Labutka caught it.
The only option I can see is if they said that there was a balk before the pitch.
Balk or maybe an interference of some kind. I don't.
But the interference would still leave the out at home on Geary. That's a very interesting call.
Do not envy our scorekeeper right now. That's a tough one. We'll have to see what she comes up with, as Eli Hickman, meanwhile, makes a grab in center field. So Geary still ends up out, but now, of course, you have Schuck over at second. Yeah, I'm still trying to. I'm trying to figure out what they could even possibly have thought of.
Number 21, Jaden Holgado.
A balk is a reasonable guess.
But it still wasn't a blatant balk call. Either way, they got the out just with a runner advance.
Right now you have a runner at second. One out, though. So not the end of the world, but definitely not as good as the result the Cougars thought they had for a minute, as the next offering is a grounder. Jake Mahler grabs it, throws it over to first in time for the out. So that'll be out number 2. Advancing all the way over to third is Schuck, excuse me.
First baseman number 11, Trevor Reinhardt.
And now it'll bring up Trevor Reinhardt.
Yeah, this is a solid way to work out that initial gaffe on that first batter here from Jones.
And then that comeback bounces off Jones, it looked like, but Mahler cleans it up, and the Cougars are fired up. And so whatever that play was, we're still trying to figure it out. It ends up not harming the Cougars at all. They strand a runner, and we are going to head to the bottom of the 8th. Cougars, they're still knocking at the door. They trail by 3, 11-8. As we get ready to head to that part of the inning, we'll have that for you in just a second on the Cougars Sports Network. Back here in the Thunderdome, CUC, they trail SNC by just 3 runs, 11-8. CUC, who came in to pinch hit last inning, he remains in right field. He pinch hit for the former right fielder, Sam O'Leary, as that's where he takes his position. We still have Bizdalka on the mound, and it's Brandon Mahler at the plate now for CUC. 3 straight hits for Brandon Mahler, a single, a 2-run home run, and then another single in his last 3 plate appearances, as he now has a 1-1 count here.
We had a very wide variance in pitching motions across these players. Sidearms, very long stretches, full extension leg kicks. Bizdalka is a pitcher who has a very, very relaxed pitching motion. There's not really any leg kick. There's not a very excessive follow-through.
It's like he's throwing batting practice.
Except he's not. These pitches are coming in with some speed at the Cougars.
As this one jams up Mahler, gets a piece of something and dribbles away. 2-2 the count now. As Bizdalka set and delivers, and here's a bouncer to third. Mahler's going to try to outrun it. He just gets beat by the throw from the Bruin to Reinhardt. So with 1 out, it'll now be Michael Kasich.
Number 10, Michael Kasich.
Kasich. So far in this game, reached on an error, was hit by a pitch, flew out, and then hit a 2-run home run last inning. See if he can add onto that. He takes a big hack at that one. I think we knew where his mind was. Unfortunately, cannot make contact, so it's an 0-1 count.
And again, down 3 with 2 innings to go. The Cougars really just need to find a way to start producing runs, whether it's through small ball or the long ball. But the important thing is smart batting, not taking risks to get easy outs because you don't have too many outs left. You're at a point you have 5 outs remaining in this game. You have to make smart decisions at the plate.
Count now sits at 0-2. As Bizdalka delivers, misses, so 1-2. Good eye there by Michael Kasich. Cougars trying to come back from what at one point was a 6-run deficit. They've cut it down to 3 as Kasich takes a swing and a miss. Jammed him up. Great pitch there by Bizdalka. And with that swinging strikeout, it'll bring up Tyler Crater to try and keep the inning alive. Crater, a very productive second game today. A pair of sac flies for an RBI, and then two doubles, since then, and scored a run in the 7th. By Ben Labuka, bloop single. As Crater looks at the first pitch outside for ball 1.
Going back to that strikeout on Michael Kasich, Cole Bizdalka does not go to the off-speed very much, if at all. He's very much a location fastball pitcher. That's really how he jammed up Kasich right there, was going to that inside changeup. So, 1, it's up very much inside, and Kasich's got the green light. 2, it's off speed, so you jam him up and you have him like swinging way too early on that pitch. It was a really good tactical attack there from Cole Bizdalka.
Bizdalka misses there, however, makes it a 2-0 count. Crater working with the bases empty. Just trying to move the chains along. Jake Mahler on deck. As this one went away, Bizdalka having some difficulties finding the zone against Crater.
Bizdalka's thrown 21 pitches since he's come into his game. 9 of them strikes, 12 of them balls. That's kind of been a problem for Bizdalka, is consistently finding the zone. He relies on players swinging and either missing or making poor contact with his pitches.
Well, in that case, he gets Crater to stare at a strike. So we're looking at a 3-1 count now. As Bizdaka set and delivers. Crater lifts this one right past the infield in shallow right, and drifting over is Perry to make the grab. So a 1-2-3 inning for Bizdaka and the Green Knights, and we head to the top of the ninth. Cougars, they're bringing back Dave Dimeling from Game 1 as he tries to hold this score at 11-8 in favor of St. Norbert.
Number 4 batter leads off the top of the ninth.
Matt Perry will lead us off here in the top of the ninth.
Matt Perry.
And back on the mound for CUC, another face we saw in Game 1. That is Dave Diamond, and he immediately issues a swinging strike to Matt Perry.
And Perry had the green light on pitch number 1 all the way right there. And it was a big swing, too.
He takes another strike there, so 0-2. Dave Diamond looking sharp through his first 2 pitches, issues this one, just misses inside 1-2, but has a little room to play with Perry. As his next offering, and they're not even going to appeal the check swing. They're going to say Perry caught it in time, so 2-2. As the next offering high and in makes it 3-2. So 3 straight balls issued by Dimeling. As the Cougars are trying to give themselves the best chance they can to come back. And there it is, strike 3 swinging. Perry goes down, takes a seat in the dugout, and that means Dave Dimeling has another strikeout to his name. He ended Game 1 with his only strikeout of that appearance, and he picks one up here at the start of his Game 2 appearance.
A big part of this inning for Dimeling's going to be efficiency. You don't want to let St. Norbert's get any momentum in their direction. Just try and keep everything focused on the offensive attack the next time your guys are up at the plate in the bottom of the ninth.
Zach Bostrand on the attack right now as he's going to take ball 2. Bostrand 2 singles, a walk, and then a line out and a fly out in this game. A very active game for Bostrand, who we saw pitch in Game 1. So he gets set for the 3-0 from Dimeling. The pitch in there for a strike, 3-1 the count.
And Dimeling was very efficient in his first outing, only threw 7 pitches.
And here's a hit. Tough play from Mahler. Comes in, grabs it, throws to Kasich. Makes it look easy. Brandon Mahler coming over to play the hopper. And because of it, CUC 2 outs now on St. Norbert. And it'll come to Will DeBruin to try and extend the inning.
DeBruin's had a very, very, very good day at the plate. 3 for 3, 2 walks with a trio of singles. He's been getting on base very, very well today.
Well, he takes ball 1 from Dime Lane. Should mention St. Norbert, after Game 1's loss, 0 for 5 in road contests on the year. So they've yet to win in an opposing team's ballpark. They do currently have 7 wins in neutral sites, but when they're playing in another team's home park, they are 0 for on the year. So trying to break that streak, as well as in terms of recent history with CUC. CUC has won the last 4 games now against St. Norbert. So the Green Knights trying to end that well, as a ball will drop in between Hickman and Dorsch. Neither of them able to get there. So Will DeBruin continues his hot game at the plate. Adds a double, his first extra base hit of the day. And look at his stat line. Single, walk, single, single, double. He is just perfect in this second game of getting on base. He puts a runner in scoring position for Huck Sprung, who already has an RBI thanks to a double in the 4th.
And that wind has picked up a lot since we started playing baseball earlier today. As the sun comes out, that wind started to pick up in a sort of northwest direction here, and it's caused balls to shift in that direction. We've seen dropped balls because of it so far today, and that one just a bit hard to get to. You need a perfect line to make a play on that ball, and if you don't have that perfect line, it's going to get down. And with the wind we have right now, it's very, very hard to judge that perfect line.
This ball rocketed into right field. Dorsch going back, makes the grab. Good defensive play by Tyler Dorsch, and that'll bring us to the end of the top of the 9th. So St. Norbert, they will take a 3-run lead into the bottom half of the 9th. The Cougars are down to their final 3 outs. They need 3 to tie, 4 to win. We'll see if they can do it, or if the Green Knights will shut the door and beat CUC for the first time since 2022. We'll see what happens when we're back here on the Cougar Sports Network in just a second. Jake Mahler will start the rally attempt for CUC, down to their final 3 outs of the day. As he faces Bizdaka, still on the mound for St. Norbert.
Yeah, Mahler hitless so far in this game. 0 for 3 with a fly out, ground out, strikeout swinging. Does have 1 walk, and the Cougars would love to just get anyone on base right now.
As he pops this one foul. Yeah, that's the point, is, he can go for the the home run hit, literally, but all that's going to do is make it a 2-run game. So you're going to need at least 3 guys to reach base. So why not just settle now for a single, maybe a double or a walk, and just get on base for your teammates to start moving the chains, as the 1-1 is low and away, makes it 2-1.
And honestly, Bazdaka is a great pitcher for the Cougars to be going up against right now, because while he can throw strikes, he has 2 fewer strikes than balls. He will throw balls. So if you work the count well, you can draw a walk going up against Bazdaka.
3-1 now as he misses the zone on that pitch.
The Green Knights do have a man working in the bullpen. That's number 20. Looks to be number 23. A player in the bullpen for the Green Knights.
A player pitching who might enter this game to pitch, depending on what the Cougars can do here with Bazdaka. 3-2 count on Jake Mahler.
It's Jaden Hogado in the bullpen for the Green Knights.
Mahler lifts this one, going foul as it leaves the field of play and hits the chapel building on CUC. So hopefully that is no bad will towards the Cougars from the big man upstairs.
And Matt Shuck running into the fence, going for that one. Full count here on Jake Mahler.
It's the pitch from Bazdaka, and they're going to say got a piece of his bat. That was a weird swing for Mahler. Looked like it tied him up, just jammed up his hands. So the count remains full, 3-2. Bazdaka stares down the leadoff hitter in the 9th inning, and this is going to be a ground ball to De Bruin. Takes his time, throws across the diamond for out number 1.
And that one, good work of the at-bat right there from Mahler, but not the result you want. You make contact, just got out it too far ahead of it, though, and wasn't able to make good contact.
So Yashawn Boswell, I was talking about with Tyler Dorsch, Jonathan, the it's due mentality in baseball. And Yashawn Boswell 0 for on the day in both games of the doubleheader, as this is going to be a grounder to Crumry, the opposing shortstop, and he beats out a running Boswell. And we are going to have a pinch hitter now for CUC. They bring in the senior, Caleb Anderson. Number 25 will pinch hit for Ben Labuca. So Coach Connor going to his dugout for some kind of offensive solution as the Cougars are down to their final out of the game.
And you get the righty on lefty matchup here for Caleb Anderson.
And Anderson immediately pays off, lifts a single into left field, and the ball eats up Hogado. Anderson isn't going to risk anything. Again, he knows that the Cougars just need base runners at this point. So a single for Anderson, and he immediately checks out for a pinch runner now, as it'll be at number 24, who we actually saw in Game 1 as a defensive replacement. That is James Klopke.
Running at first base for Anderson, number 24, James Klopke. The batter is the center fielder, Eli Hickman.
And that brings up Eli Hickman. As Hickman stares at a ball. And another lefty batter here for the Cougars, Jonathan. We saw it work out with Caleb Anderson. Poked that single into left. See if it works off with Eli Hickman again here, who has 3 doubles on the day. Also drew a walk in his last at-bat, but he looks at a strike here, 1-1.
And yeah, relative to his full-day performance, he's been slumping a bit in his last couple at-bats. But Eli Hickman, he's shown an ability to make very, very good contact throughout the day so far.
The 1-1 misses for 2-1 count.
And if you can get Hickman to get on base here, that brings up the top of the order. You have Julio Cajigas on deck, and that's the part of the order you want when you need to get a lot of runs.
Zdalka delivers the 2-1, and Hickman fouls it off. So the Cougars, with a 2-2 count, are down to their final strike of the day. St. Norbert trying to end what has been a 4-game slide against the Cougars dating back to 2021 and split today's opening conference doubleheader, while the Cougars trying to open conference and home play with a bang. But they're going to need to do it in dramatic fashion. Down by 3, one runner on first base, 2 outs, 2-2 count. Hickman steps back in after taking time. Zdalka gets set himself. The 2-2. Inside, ball 3. Hickman stays alive for another pitch.
And Hickman was fully prepared to take one for the team one right there. That one ran way inside, and Hickman did not flinch. That's the mentality right now. Get on base any way you can and keep the rally alive.
The 3-2. Ball 4. Great eye by Eli Hickman. That was a close pitch to that upper left corner of the strike zone if you're looking at it from the catcher's point of view. So that means we are at the tying run at the plate with Cajigas. And we have Coach walking out. No sign towards the pen yet. And there it is. Speak it into existence. So the Green Knight's going to bring in what would be a closer now, as the tying run for CUC on home plate, ready for an at-bat, and Julio Cajigas. We'll have to see what happens when we return to the Cougar Sports Network. CUC down to their final out as they trail the Green Knights 11-8 here in the bottom of the 9th. Marty Walsh brought in to try and close this one down for St. Norbert, and that is what he's done all season long. 5 appearances, he's got 2 saves and a 1.08 ERA. And Jonathan, the biggest thing that you mentioned is that his motion is super quick. Compare that to Zdalka, who's very laid back, just kind of a relaxed motion as Cajigas takes a swing at the first pitch for strike 1. This is going to be a tough adjustment for Cajigas, and, if it comes to anyone else who comes up to the plate to face Walsh, if, of course, Cajigas gets on safely.
Yeah, and right now, goal number 1 is defensive batting. Stay alive. You can't get another out or the game's done, so that's priority number 1 for Cajigas at the plate here.
0-1, swung on and missed, strike 2. So Walsh, in a save opportunity, has issued 2 straight strikes to Cajigas. Cajigas just needs to get on safely. He is the tying run. The 0-2. Misses. Oh, my goodness. What a close pitch. Ooh. That had strike 3 written all over it. And instead, the home plate umpire gives Julio Cajigas another chance.
St. Norbert's dugout ain't happy about that one.
The 1-2 popped up. This should do it as Perry drifting back has to come back in, makes the snag for out number 3. And that will do it for game number 2. CUC, they drop it 11-8 against St. Norbert. And they will split the conference opening doubleheader today. CUC took game 1 6-1. The Green Knights, they take game 2 11-8. Well, let's take a look at the box. Take a second to look at the box score, I should say, of the game. In terms of the Cougars, as we get this pulled up here, we'll say the pitching-wise, Jason Schroeder is gifted the win, Dylan Scott given the loss, and then Marty Walsh coming in for the one-out save. As Steves will be listed as the winning pitcher. Dylan Scott's still the losing pitcher, and then Marty Walsh gets save number 3. As for the batters, good performances out of Michael Kasick. 1 for 4, but it was a 2-run home run for Kasick. Also drove in an RBI on an error. Tyler Crater 2 for 3 with a pair of RBIs. Brandon Mahler 3 for 5 with 2 RBIs, which came off a home run. And the other RBI coming from Ben Labuka, who also grabs his first collegiate hit and first collegiate RBI, of course. As for the visiting Green Knights, multiple players with a pair of RBIs. Devin Geary had 2 as he went 1 for 4 at the plate. Matt Perry had 2. He went 2 for 5 with a 2-run blast. And how about Will DeBruin? 4 for 4 in today's game with a pair of walks as well. He drove in 2 RBIs. Huck Sprong, 2 RBIs. He went 1 for 5. And Carson Crumry, an RBI as he went 1 for 4. But, Jonathan, let's get your closing thoughts. A tough second game for CUC. The offense was there once again. They put up 8 runs, a decent amount of runs. However, that St. Norbert offense really found their groove after, just looking completely lost in that first game.
One big key is in that first game of the doubleheader, both teams struggled defensively with defensive consistency. Plenty of errors on both sides. A huge difference for the Cougars in that second game is they're much more consistent on the defensive end, except for one error, and that was when Dylan Scott was out on the mound, and that was the big inning, the big 5-run inning that the Green Knights had. So one error, and it was that error that in the end did cost the Cougars the game today, allowed the Green Knights to go on a big run. So a lot of it's about timing, and it's unfortunate. You make one error, and it's the error that costs you, but that's what it came down to. The Green Knights, not a perfect second game from them, far from it, but they executed offensively far more than they did in that first game. They finally figured out how to string together some hits, and that worked out great for the Green Knights on the offensive end. On the mound for both teams, decent performances, especially for the Green Knights from their starter, Jason Schroeder. Great start out on the mound for Schroeder today. 3 earned runs allowed, made it through 5 innings. Great performance out on the mound from Schroeder. And the Green Knights bullpen did enough to hold the lead, even though if they did let the Cougars get close to that 11-run once again.
So that'll do it here from the Thunderdome. CUC baseball, they finish out the day 7-8, 1-1 in conference play, while St. Norbert sits at 8-9, also 1-1 in conference play after today's split. The Cougars, they'll be back into action for a single game at Wheaton College on March 26th. That is Tuesday. That game is at 5 p.m. And then they return home for another conference doubleheader against Dominican University, the Division Street rivalry in full effect this Wednesday, March 27th. The start time for those 2 games are slated for 12 and 3 p.m. And coverage for all of CUC baseball games can be found at our website, cucougars.com, and any home live streams can be found on our YouTube page, CUC Sports. Want to take a second to thank everyone who made this production possible. We have Lillian Southern and Abby Coolig as our two producers under the direction of our sports information director, Kayla McLeod. So, and I was, of course, joined by Jonathan Shear all day on the broadcast, and we will have a post-game interview with a surprise Cougars player, still waiting on confirmation for who it is. So we'll have that for you in just a second, but don't go anywhere. We will have this interview coming up shortly in just a second on the Cougar Sports Network. Welcome back to the Cougar Sports Network, Cougar fans. I'm Peter Borkowski, joined by Eli Hickman, center fielder for the Cougars. And Eli, you guys come away with the split on the day, picking up that 6-1 win in Game 1. Let's focus on that. That seemed like just a complete effort from you guys. Pitching was dominant. Your offense put up 6 runs, able to capitalize on opportunities. Can you just talk about, what exactly went well in that first game? What led to you guys being able to play just all around a complete game in that first one?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a combination of us not beating ourselves and kind of getting on them early and kind of putting them away early. Like in that second game, we kind of got down early, didn't have a chance to put them away. We can put teams away early and come out hot, then we're as good as anybody. So
right.
Kind of what it was in that first game, I think.
Right, and in that second game, obviously you guys ended up dropping it 11-8, but you guys fought all the way through, and I'm sure, as you a senior leader on this team, the coaching staff, everyone, despite the loss, it was really reassuring to see, the young guys, everyone still fighting all the way through that game, even if the result wasn't what you wanted at the end of the day. Yeah,
right. I think we've shown that kind of throughout the whole year. We had the fight. Just got to get going earlier. Earlier in the season, first weekend, we fought in all 3 games. In Florida, fought back in a couple games. I don't think it's so much worrying about having to fight because we know this group can do that. More so just setting the tone earlier, getting on guys and starters earlier, getting out of the game, and then that can set us up for success on the road.
Right. And as for you yourself, you had a nice double header, quite a number of doubles on the day. Just what was going through your head today? What led to the success you had today? Obviously you were seeing the ball well. You made a couple nice defensive plays out there in center. Just kind of what are your thoughts, your general takeaways from your performance today?
Yeah, my direction was there. Worked all week on direction with Coach Connor. Kind of getting around balls over in center and a little bit at North Park too. Had a good day at North Park, but really just playing loose and playing free. When I'm at my best, I'm kind of playing no pressure, playing free with no pressure.
Right.
And just doing what I can to help win.
Right.
Finding barrels, catching balls in center. So when I'm loose and I'm free, that's when I'm at my best.
Right.
That's what I was today.
And you guys are back in action on Tuesday. You take a trip to Wheaton. Just what's kind of the mindset going into that game? You have another non-conference game, then you're right back here for Dominican on Wednesday. Just what do you guys need Tuesday to look like so you set yourself up nicely for that Dominican doubleheader here on Wednesday?
Just coming out, playing loose, setting it earlier, like I said before.
Right.
Getting on them early, just having fun. We're kind of preaching that a little bit this past week. Just have fun. Do what we can, play hard, play fast, and things will take care of themselves.
Definitely. CUC baseball back in action on Tuesday. They travel to Wheaton for a 5 p.m. game. Then they're here on Wednesday, a doubleheader, 12-3 against Dominican University. Coverage for all those matches can be found at our website, cucougars.com. Eli, thanks again for joining me today. Congrats on the opening day, the home opening win against St. Norbert, and just your great day in general. Looking forward to see what you guys do coming up on the season. But until next time, this is Peter Borkowski signing off of the Cougar Sports Network and wanting to say, as always, go Cougars.